save a life. Stop fire by testing smoke alarms regularly, look for obvious dangers, and have an escape route planned, keeping our communities safe. Learn more fire safety tips at fireireland.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
There you have it. We're going to pass you over to Greg Hughes. It's nearly 9 o'clock. Good morning, Greg.
Indeed, Lee. It's just about to turn 9. Any plans for today?
Loads of stuff.
Like what?
Sure, you don't need... Like, if I started reaming off the stuff, you'd be bored.
Are you that busy?
No, not that busy. Letting on, just.
Right, okay.
What are you got in your show? I'm busy.
I'm just going to fake it till I make it.
All right, okay. I'm following you on that one.
All right, Lee, have a good day. It is 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update now, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Minister Eamon Ryan is due to visit Donegal tomorrow. The minister is expected to travel to County House Lifford tomorrow afternoon. Cahirlock of the Glenties Municipal District, Councillor Michael McClafferty, says he will seize the opportunity to make the minister aware of issues facing people in Donegal, particularly in rural areas. Councillor McClafferty says one of the main issues he will raise is the prohibiting of planning along the N56, which has plagued the area for years.
The main one that myself and my other Glenties colleagues will be certainly pushing with him tomorrow will be the access on to the N56. The issues we have here at the minute with the planning so on to the N56. A lot of people around here, basically, we'll take for example the lanes in the mountain top beside yourself there, right on through the towns, Kilmacrennan, Creesla, on to Falcara, Guidower, right on to Glenties. All that road there is affected.
A major announcement on the UK Post Office Horizon scandal is expected today from the British Prime Minister. More than 700 sub-postmasters, including in County Tyrone and Derry, were wrongly convicted over financial irregularities between 1999 and 2015, which were caused by a faulty computer system. The scandal's in the spotlight after the release of a new ITV drama. Belfast-based solicitor Michael Madden, who represents several clients caught up in the controversy, explains what should happen.
Well, there's a strong argument for all the people who were prosecuted and convicted that they simply have their convictions quashed. The courts here have been very good at moving cases forward.
The Agriculture Minister says he disagrees with claims the government has let farmers down. The claim was made by the Irish Farmers Association President Francie Gorman at its AGM yesterday. He told the meeting that farmers' livelihoods are under threat and believes there has been an abject failure by the government in relation to delayed payments from schemes. Agriculture Minister Charlie McConlogue believes the government has worked hard to help farmers.
I've never yet heard a representative organisation say to a minister or say to the government, that's okay, you're doing enough now, you can go a bit easier. It will always be the case that they'll be putting it up to us, and rightly so, that's their role. But I think any fair assessment would show that both I as Minister and indeed this government have worked massively hard and have delivered for farmers, for the agriculture sector and for farm families.
Weather now very cold this morning with overnight frost and ice clearing. Dry today with low winter sunshine, highest temperatures of 3 to 7 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Cursteach Hervisi cheadún is fólamóide agus tamána líne, lena náritar anúchan ústáú málartú agus áhallahar. Tá sé éasca agus is féidir dhéanamh gan stró. Tuair cuairt an Service náisiúnta cheadún is tamána líne in jobhag ndls.rsa.ie. Mai go bhaidí devna a tastal, teachtrocht an údarás am havaltocht Wodi.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It's approaching 4 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 10th of January 2024. And we're all aboard for the mid-show of the week. Plenty coming up between now and 12. We want you involved in that conversation as well. With views from yesterday to carry over in today. Of course, we read them all and broadcast the majority of them. 086 60 25,000, the WhatsApp and text number. From outside the Republic, if you're listening in Derry, Tyrone, Cayman Islands, as we have regularly, London, wherever it might be, and you want to get involved in the conversation in your local station, it's still your local station, of course, 00353 86 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, of course, 07491 25000 and email comments at highlandradio.com. And we've had a record-breaking week in terms of viewership numbers across all our platforms. We do appreciate that, and we'll extend that invite to you again. If you want to watch the show, if that suits you, if you're at home or whatever, you want to put it up on your big screen, see most of our guests. YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. Like and subscribe, please. It is helpful. You can watch on your smart TV. The YouTube app is normally there. You can download YouTube on your Fire Stick if it's not already there. It's really, really handy, isn't it? And you can take that on your mobile devices as well as watch us on Facebook. Highland Hub, Highland Radio, News and Sport. All right, the papers this morning. We'll start with the Donegal Post today. A Donegal man facing a murder trial has been jailed for 8 months after stealing a 20-ton lorry and driving through the gates of a fish factory. Alan Vile drove the lorry a large distance through several towns in Donegal and faces further dangerous driving charges in relation to the incident on February 23rd, 2023. The 38-year-old with an address at Drummonu Head, Killybegs, is in custody at Castlereagh Prison, having been charged with the murder of Robert Wilkin, whose body was found off Slieve League Cliffs last September. The Inish Times reports that a probe is underway following a Buncrana fire. Several people were hospitalised following a fire at a premises in Buncrana in the early hours of Tuesday. The Donegal Fire Service and members of An Garda Síochána responded to the incident at Main Street, Buncrana, shortly after 1 a.m. All occupants of the building were evacuated safely, a Garda spokesperson told Donegal Live, and they also clarified that they don't believe at this point that it was a malicious fire, that it started accidentally. The Finn Valley Voice this morning, St Columba's College at Stranraer is the first school outside Derry to host the Bloody Sunday outreach programme on Thursday 18th January. A panel consisting of Bloody Sunday Trust representatives, Lee Lavis, a former member of the British Army, member of the international community, who are witnesses to or have experienced infringement of human rights, will talk to the transition year students. That's on Thursday. Okay, on to the Nationals now. Were you surprised at these figures? 6 in 10 people say they've never been to a women's sporting event. I have. And I'm kind of average, I think. I'm kind of average. But 6 in 10 of us have never been to a women's sporting event. More than half of Irish people have never attended a women's sporting event, new research has shown. This compares to less than 30% who've never attended a men's event. The research commissioned by Lidl and Red Sea has revealed that 59% of Irish people say they would prefer to watch men's sport on TV than attend a female sporting event. So rather than go and watch a game of live GEA with women playing, they'd prefer to sit at home and watch men playing on the telly. Of those surveyed, 46% said men's sport was generally better to watch, and 1 in 3 said they believed the standard of play was not high enough to justify attendance at live matches, which is really unfair. 1 in 3 believed the standard of play in women's sport was not high enough to justify the attendance. And this comes despite 3/4 of people saying it was a shame that more people do not attend women's fixtures. So they're saying it's a shame, but I'm not going to do it. Why do you think that is? There is this is all part of a major launch, of course, Lidl involved in it. They've commissioned the services of an American lady to try and encourage more attendance at women's games. There seemed to have been a big push on it. Do you remember we saw huge numbers at Croke Park? But I suppose those are once-offs, and you could say Katie Taylor's filled the 3 Arena twice, but I suppose we're talking about day-to-day stuff. Are you surprised at those figures? What do you think needs to change to see an increase in those figures? Maybe it's just attitudes generally, not just to sports. I don't know. The Irish Times this morning, the proportion of single men among asylum seekers arriving in Ireland declined sharply in the final weeks of last year as the state ran out of capacity to offer beds to this cohort of migrants. Meanwhile, separate figures show that the number of Ukrainian refugees who sought temporary protection in Ireland in the last 2 months of 23 has almost halved compared to the same period in 2022. The data comes as the Cabinet signed off on plans to cut the welfare payments that future arrivals from Ukraine Ukraine will be entitled to, with legislation due to come before the Dáil to do this as early as next week. There is significant pressure on Ireland's system for housing refugees from Ukraine and those seeking international protection from other countries. There have been local protests against planned accommodation centres for single men, most recently in Ballinrobe, County Mayo. And we're not far off a point whereby I think even with the big money that's on offer, people will stop offering that accommodation because of the backlash that is there. But less... I don't know what the relationship status is. They're called single men. They might have girlfriends at home. I don't know. But anyway, there's less of them arriving than was previously. I don't know why when I read this in the Irish Daily Mail, it was very sad with Sinead O'Connor's passing, but I kind of got some sort of comfort that she died of natural causes, if that makes sense. Sinead O'Connor died of natural causes, a London coroner announced yesterday. The singer, just 56, was found unresponsive after police were called to her flat in Herne Hill, southeast London, in July last year. Detectives did not treat the Dubliner's sudden death as suspicious, and yesterday officials ruled she had died of natural causes. A spokesperson for Southwark Coroner's Court told the Mail, "This is to confirm that Miss O'Connor died of natural causes. The coroner has therefore ceased their involvement in her death." Also, frost, ice and fog until the weekend at least on this page as well. Met Éireann has extended a cold weather advisory spanning the whole of Ireland as slips, trips and falls caused by the icy conditions are putting hospital emergency departments under pressure. The national forecaster has warned travellers and widespread frost and ice patches are causing hazardous road conditions, and the RSA has urged motorists to slow down and watch out for vulnerable road users. But there's some uncertainty on the weather, slight increase in temperatures, but the weekend and into next week could be really chilly again as well, which is a nightmare in terms of trying to heat the house. You can almost see the oil drain out of the tank. On to the Star now this morning. New media regulator Commission Naman has named the 10 video sharing platforms that will be covered by its new online safety code. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Udemy, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, Pinterest, Tumblr and Reddit will be required to protect children from specific types of harmful online material. This includes cyberbullying content that promotes eating disorders and content that promotes self-harm or suicide. Platforms will also have to prevent the uploading of sharing of a range of illegal content, including incitement to hatred or violence. Under the new rules, Commissioner Mann is responsible for regulating video sharing platforms which have their EU bases in Ireland. So this is all well and good. How are they going to do it? How are they going to ensure that children don't lie about their ages? How are they going to ensure they don't use VPNs? And Snapchat's not included because Snapchat is not based in Europe. Therefore, it will be completely, or continue to be, completely unregulated. Well, not completely. That's unfair to say. So it all sounds good, but in reality, what difference might it make? Hopefully some. But as I say, there's always a way around these things, and the people that find them often are the young, who are more familiar with the technology. But as I say, without Snapchat being involved in that, the majority of young people use Snapchat. It's equal in those that use Instagram. Not Instagram, sorry, but TikTok. On to the Sun this morning. Last year was the planet's hottest on record and likely the world's warmest in the last 100,000 years, an EU scientist body says. Scientists had widely expected the milestone after climate records were repeatedly broken in 23. Since June, every month has been the world's hottest on record. The European Union's Copernicus Ultimate Change Service Director Carlo Bontempo said yesterday, "This has been a very exceptional year climate-wise, in a league of its own, even when compared to other very warm years." CBS confirmed 2023 is the hottest year in global temperatures global temperature records going back to 1850. Okay, now that doesn't mean it feels warmer for us all of the time here or whatever. It can mean we get more rain and colder summers. But globally, it was apparently the warmest potentially for 100,000 years. And the concern is, if you buy into it, is that if the temperatures keep rising, it triggers a chain of events that can no longer be stopped. Because obviously we've been through ice ages and what have you. The fear is that if the ice continues to melt and what have you, it starts a process of changing the world's atmosphere that can't be stopped by what we're doing. But that's what they say. The Irish Daily Mirror this morning, this is not good. This is not the kind of stuff you want going out there, because everyone that comes here, not everyone, but the majority of them come through Dublin. Dublin is amongst the most unsafe major nightlife destinations in Europe. A new global study has revealed. The Irish capital made the top 10, coming in at 9th position. 3 British cities landed higher than Dublin, with Birmingham being the most dangerous and Manchester and London coming in at 5th and 8th place, respectively. Italian city Naples came in 2nd position, with French capital Paris taking 3rd spot. The Greek capital Athens was 4th, with Lyon and Brussels among 6th and 7th. The Italian city of Milan completed the top 10. But it's funny about perception in that Brussels is deemed more unsafe than Dublin, but I would have been. I was in Brussels recently. We did a program from over there and didn't feel. We didn't feel in any way unsafe. Or I didn't. Sorry, I can only speak for myself. And walked around at night and all that kind of stuff. But it's deemed to be more dangerous than Dublin. I would actually be, because we're exposed to the fear of what Dublin is like, and normally it only comes from certain quarters, but it's coming from every quarter that, you know, Dublin is incredibly unsafe. Well, I would find myself more nervous in Dublin. But statistically, Brussels, where I felt really okay, is more dangerous. It goes to show, I think, perception and the media and the information they're exposed to does form how you think. Okay, the WRC is coming to Ireland, and it's with no little thanks to a Donegal person. And we're going to be speaking to that person and so much more besides over the course of the next 2 hours and 45 minutes. So stay right where you are. Back with more, including what I've just flagged, after we take this quick break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year. The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny, stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Last chance to enter the Donegal silage competition with Homeland and Nutrius Animal Feeds. Entries are closing soon, so hurry. Entry is free and includes 5 categories: dairy, beef, sheep, round bale and new entrant. First prize €300 vouchers, second prize €200 voucher in each category. For full entry details, visit homeland.ie. Closing date January 19.
The McDonald's Saver Meal Deals have it all, like the classic cheeseburger Saver Meal Deal, including medium fries and a drink for just €6, or the delicious double cheeseburger meal deal, which is twice as nice for just €7. But there's more. For €6, you can get the mouth-watering Mayo chicken meal deal and a delicious bun. Phew. I'm talking so fast because we all like getting our money's worth. And that's why I've only got 20 seconds to tell you about the McDonald's Saver Meal Deals. From 11 a.m, not available on delivery.
Ireland's favourite Bruce Springsteen tribute comes to the Villa Rose Hotel Ballybuffet Friday, January 19th and Anchorage Hotel Gidor on Saturday, January 20th. Tickets available from hotel reception and online at Eventbrite. Don't miss an epic night of Springsteen magic.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio, in association with Arena 7, where you can enjoy dinner and drinks in the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant before bowling in Arena 7's state-of-the-art lanes. See arena7.ie.
Imagine Broadband's January sale is here. Grab our Hero high-speed broadband package for just $49.99 per month. Act fast. Sign up before January 31st to enjoy a massive €180 in savings. Head to imagine.ie or free phone us on 1-800-938-407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Subject to location and availability. Minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full terms and conditions.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 9:18, and we're joined on the programme now by Donna Kelly, Deputy CEO of CRSA and Special Advisor to the WRC. Good morning. Oh, I don't know, there's something playing in the background there. I'll have to get rid of that. Lee Gooch did not stop Spotify. Right, okay. Can you hear me okay, Donna?
Yep.
Okay, lovely stuff. I can hear you too. Right, now, so we're deep into a process now of trying to get the World Rally Championships back into Ireland. And how far on in this process are we, Donna, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I suppose our application to the department was lodged probably 6 months ago, but that had followed from an initial contact back from the WRC promoters in when I was at Rally Sweden last year to see what was the possibilities of getting the WRC back to Ireland. We're aware that Northern Ireland have been trying for quite some time to host an event, but unfortunately, with the lack of a stable government and obviously Stormont not sitting, they weren't successful in raising the funding. Hence, the focus shifted to see could we run a Southern Ireland event only. So that's where the process started, and obviously it was embraced by MI immediately. Contact made with the government to see if we could get the required support, and so we're nearly a year into the process from the initial contact. So. But not quite there yet.
Kerry, Limerick and the South East region based out of Waterford are now included in these proposals. How significant is that step from flagging them, so to speak?
Well, I suppose the WRC promoters, their biggest requirement is a service park area or a rally village. That is sufficient in size with the required facilities to host an event of this size. I think we're fortunate in Ireland with our laws that we can close the public roads. We have stages from the north of the country right to the south, but it is the facilities you require to host an event from communication centres, media centres, medical centres, and the required hard stand for I suppose the circus that follows this championship.
Now, is the last piece of the jigsaw government confirming their funding? Are we at that point yet?
No, not yet. No, and that's where we require, all the local representatives in each of the areas to really push, because I suppose it's a little bit, the ask is a little bit different now. Each region is only looking for the funding for 1 year as opposed to 3. It's a more balanced approach. So, and the return, with the economics, I think really stand up. The department are doing their own assessment of those calculations, and for a 5 million investment to have a return of somewhere in the region of 100 million, I think most people use the phrase no-brainer, but let's see if everybody sees the numbers in the same light.
The clock is ticking, though. The government needs to make a decision sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we really need, we are competing for a slot on the calendar for 2025, 26, 27. There are other countries trying to get included on the calendar. So it's not that they're trying to fill a gap. We have really until the start of March to know where we're at, so that the 25 calendar we can get included. We're thinking that it will be somewhere in the calendar around the end of August, early September, which is a good time of year for hosting an event here.
For those who maybe are interested in rallying but aren't, can you put into us context of hosting a WRC event? You know what I mean? Like, it is the equivalent, is it, of an Irish Open or you know what I mean? In rallying terms, it's the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would argue that it's probably the biggest sporting event that we would host in that year. I was recently speaking to some of the people down in Adare about the Ryder Cup, and they're saying, it's roughly about 60,000 spectators that will come and watch that event. And obviously, they're limited to how many people they can put onto the venue there at Adare Manor, whereas a rally of this scale takes part over such a big, wide geography. They're estimating somewhere in the region of 250,000 spectators. But the logistics of hosting such an event, like for the 3 or 4 days that this event would take place, there will be a plane in the sky circling all the time, taking the images from the stages, from the helicopters, etc., relaying them and beaming them across the world to a global audience. So it's and that's only one aspect of it. The previous event is in Finland. So for all the teams to decamp, make their way to Ireland with their I suppose vast logistics, that's huge in itself. It's just, and obviously the support we require on the ground is the volunteer type support. And what we've seen over the last 10 days on the different visits to the regions, there seems to be an abundance of support locally to host these events.
I mean, we'd all have loved to have seen Donegal in the mix, or somewhere in the northwest in the mix. You more than anyone, I'm sure, Donna. What would have been the blocker on that? Is it the fact that we have to pitch what is most likely to be successful? We don't quite have the infrastructure up here yet, or why wouldn't the northwest of Donegal have been included in a proposal, or a future proposal for that matter?
Well, the process, MI had written to the 32 clubs in the country for those to express an interest that would like to host an event. Obviously, we were looking to narrow it down to one, but my understanding is that the Donegal Motor Club hadn't met with the timeline set out for consideration, so...
Are you disappointed by that, or is that...
Here, look, I suppose I'm a proud Donegal man, and I would like everything. I'd like the centre of Ireland to be in the...
But it
Donegal,
is, don't I?
But it isn't, So, but to bring the event back to Ireland, and our community in Raleigh is so small. So if we have an event of this scale back, we all benefit from it. I think, infrastructure is hugely important, and Donegal is a little bit of an outlier, as we know, to bring such a roadshow to the country. Yes, it could be done, but it's a little bit more challenging in the northwest. That's not to say, if we can get the event back in 25 and for 3 years, our plan is that we would really showcase a world-class event, and that we would retain it to the likes of a Monte Carlo rally or a Finland, where they've been hosting these events for decades, and if we can, and there's no reason then that you can't have it in the northwest in the future.
Yeah, and you made a great point too about I think some of the return on this investment is measurable or easy to measure. Some of it's not so much in terms of the global exposure, and our scenery rivals anywhere in the world, so why not use another opportunity to get that on in so many millions of eyes right across the world. So just to be clear then, because I may not phrase the question quite right a little earlier on, if the government commits to this investment, there's still a process to be gone through, but we'd be in a very firm position, a strong position. Is that how you would read it?
My view is from speaking to the promoters, and that if we secure the funding, we will be successful in bringing the event to Ireland for sure. I'm confident on that. But if we leave it too late, we obviously they have a business to run themselves. If we miss the slot, God knows when we get considered again. So we'll really push the different public representatives, etc., to get behind this, get a decision made so that we know where we're going. Because, if we look at some of the investments in the past, even to host large sporting events that haven't been successful, and we've invested a lot of money, we're saying, give us the money and it's a done deal. It's not, we're not bidding for something. We will bring this event if we get the funding.
Right, okay, that's a pretty strong message. And as you said earlier on, the words no-brainer do seem quite obvious to this situation. We shall wait and see. We'll make our inquiries too with the department to see what their stage of consideration is at. And we look forward to speaking to you again, hopefully welcoming these additions to the calendar here.
Yeah, with hope, and certainly I have been given good support locally by the likes of Joe McHugh, etc., helping me with contacts, etc. So, there's a real will to make this happen, so hopefully we can get it across the line.
Brilliant stuff, because I'm sure there's a ton of work, and you're probably doing yourself a disservice in not mentioning a ton of work has gone on up until now to get us to this tipping point.
Yeah, look, it's like I say, it's possibly going to be the largest sporting event in the country in any of those years. So, yeah, it takes effort to host such an event.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for your time. Great to chat to you. Take care of yourself. Donna Kelly there, Deputy CEO of Circe. and a special advisor to the WRC. He was involved in this bid to bring the WRC to Ireland. And just to be clear, he is very much of the opinion that if the government commits 15 million, that's 5 million over 3 years, then we will be successful in having those 3 venues added to the calendar: Kerry, Limerick and the South East region. And as you heard too from Donna, if we get those 3 over the line, who's to say we couldn't end up hosting a round of the World Rally Championship here in the Northwest? And if a guy that knows, it's him. All right, then, let's get on to some of your comments coming in. More reckless driving on our roads is exactly what we need. I, for one, don't feel my heart in my throat often enough while popping out for milk and bread. Not everyone is into rallying. These rallying promotes fast driving, and you wonder why there's so many deaths on Irish roads. I'm glad that the rally isn't coming to Donegal. I was crippled by a boy racer and suffer constant pain 18 years later, and I'm not the only one abhorred by this sport. Okay, listen, and I sympathise with your experience, and I can't really comment on that because you've gone through that experience and that is what you feel. But yeah, okay. Regarding the survey on women's sport, I come from a local GEA town, and you see the difference in boys-girls teams. They've absolutely no interest in the girls. Have seen this on numerous occasions and brought up a few issues, but got nowhere with the club. The girls are paying the same membership as the boys, but the difference in sport days out, etc., is just a disgrace indeed. And there's quite a bit goes on at that level as well in terms of, paying for travel or all this type of stuff that's quite disadvantageous to girls, some would feel. What about the solicitor charged before the courts yesterday, stealing money from clients? He was granted free legal aid. A great country. Haven't seen that case yet, but we'll look out for it. Oh, come on. Beach volleyball is the most viewed sport, bar none. Tickets only available by lottery from behind a fortified security barrier in Rio. Fact. 92,000. They set a world record for women's beach volleyball. No, I would be interested to see the demographic of the audience there. The sheep on the Flab Road in Burnfoot between... Is it the Slab Road or Flab Road? It's got Flab here, but maybe it's the Slab Road. In Burnfoot between Derry and Letterkenny. Urge motorists in that area, please be careful. And a question regarding transport. Councillor Patrick McGowan arranged for transport for people going door to door, especially transport from Donegal to Galway. I think that the transport should be door to door, especially for sick and older people. I was just wondering what the update on this was. Not 100% sure there with what you're referencing in terms of what transport. But look, we'll dig into that a little bit deeper and come back to it a little later on. All right, we'll be back with our next guest after this really short break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
Fídorach Kishan, Shaukorach, Píberach Dylan. O hív na haireachta de, cahan mo dargo deargid na rudí will tusa passion to fuha. Má hacking de agricht le airecht na heden, beide gemach tú cáliche dionta sa alfin guiste takecht de agricht de aireachta. Iritis oscultinish heritage-council.ie/funding. Le takecht on reintehechte realtas áitiúligus aireachta.
It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 97 40404 or easily book your appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal. Available anytime, anywhere at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Gift vouchers available. Discover the ultimate experience in the spa orchids at the Holyrood Hotel Bundoran with our tranquil Japanese-themed garden, rejuvenating massages, revitalizing facials, luxurious spa baths, pampering body treatments, not forgetting the outdoor hot tub and sauna in our secret garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time, or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the spa orchids transport you to another world. For more, see holyroodhotel.com.
Muff, Lousy Bush, Strangle Willie, Legwee Fottrin, Duty's Bottom, Stripsy, Willie Rogue Island, Pullingtown, Terman Feckin, Killy Willie. Gowl, Over the years, not all our town names have translated beautifully from Irish to English, but they're still beautiful places to explore, especially in a Skoda. Skoda. Let's explore.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Call 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by the Very Reverend Liz Fitzgerald, who's rector of the Groot parishes of Raphoe, Raymochy and Clonlea, and Dean of St Eunan's Cathedral. Dean, Liz, thank you very much for joining us. I do appreciate your time today. I wish we were speaking about something else, but we are here, unfortunately.
Yes, good morning, Greg. Yes, it is very unfortunate.
So tell us what we heard yesterday through an appeal from An Garda Síochána, the damage caused to the graveyard at St Eunan's Cathedral, which is incredibly tough for yourself, of course, and churchgoers, but particularly the families or people with loved ones in the graveyard. Can you talk us through what we've discovered?
Well, I was shocked and horrified when I received a phone call on Wednesday to tell me that there'd been damage to some of the graves in the graveyard in our beautiful St Eunan's Cathedral in Raphoe. And originally we thought there were 5 damaged, but in fact there's a total of 8 damaged graves. And headstones have been sort of uprooted, taken off the ground and off their roots, off their foundations, and laid flat. And we've had 3 old ancient headstones and burial slabs broken as well. And there was sort of, I think first of all there's an element of disbelief. How could this happen in Raphoe? Because it's a very peaceful place, a very respectful place. And people were naturally very upset and very annoyed, myself included, because St Eunan's Cathedral is a very old church. It dates back to the 1100s, and it was built on a monastic site. So, I mean, this is deep Donegal history. And, you know, in the graveyard we have ancient burials and we've recent burials, and we've history there lying, sort of history and present lying side by side, and parents and grandparents and children all laid to rest in the shelter of the cathedral, and you do so presuming that they will be left to rest in peace. So this is just a sort of horrifying assault on that peace and tranquility.
And it's horrendous that it happened at all, but then the mind wonders as to what would motivate anyone to do this, because it's not like not that this would be acceptable, but it's not like a couple of cans were found in the grounds or something. This is, you know, really significant damage. What's the motivation? Is there any motivation? Is it mindless? You know, these are the kind of things start running through your head and are also troubling because, you know, could this happen again? Is not someone being targeted here, but do you know what I mean? It's just really, really uncomfortable to think about.
But that's what the guards are investigating, and they're looking at all different sort of aspects of how these things occur. And I'm not from a sort of legalistic background at all, but I have to say a huge thank you to the guards. They appeared very, very quickly on the scene. They were sensitive and professional in how they talked to myself and to the parishioners who'd gathered there at the time. And they had forensics out, so they have done, so far they've done an absolutely great job. But I have to say that a lot of the hurt and the disrespect is felt by many, many people, and it's not just by our parishioners, it's the whole community.
Oh, I feel
I've
it
had
as well,
people
to be honest with you.
From, do you?
Well,
yes,
yeah,
I felt it's an invasion of our sense of what is right and what is proper. And, you know, we part with our loved ones with sadness, and we want that to be treated with respect. And it has been a place of peace over the centuries. You know, these ancient graveyards and ancient sites. And it's a place that, you know, we feel has been standing forever. at the edge of the diamond in Raphoe. And, I hope and I pray that the peace can be restored and that this won't happen again. Some of our gravestones that have been damaged are so old we can't get a date from them, or lettering is gone. So as part of our history and heritage has been damaged, as well as those very, very personal memories for the more recent graves that have been damaged.
Yeah, and some, the physical damage, some of it can be undone, some of it can't. These stones have stood for so long, they will always be, they'll eternally be damaged. And then, of course, the emotional stress, can you put a time limit on its recovery?
I absolutely agree with you. That's rhetorical. You just don't know how people feel invaded in their personal grief whenever these things happen. But the ancient gravestones that may not be repaired, they will stand in perpetuity to the incident, I was going to say the insult, the incident that occurred in the graveyard on Wednesday the 3rd. One thing the guards have asked for, and I'm asking lots of people for, this graveyard is visited quite often, partly because of its historic significance, partly because of its very personal connect. And so if anyone had visited the graveyard between Christmas and the 3rd of January, even if they saw nothing untoward, that would be very useful in actually firming up a timeline for the guards.
Yeah, because at the moment, we know headstones were damaged between the 19th of December and January 3rd, and then there was another incident on the 3rd of January, more specifically between 12:10 p.m., that's just after midday, and 2 p.m. Any information, I think, if anything will bring any comfort, is to find those responsible to ensure this doesn't happen again, or that they are, dealt with by the law. The Gardaí are investigating, but they need the public's eyes and ears as well.
Absolutely. Especially if they were there, say, on New Year's Day and there was nothing untoward. Those sorts of things are very, very useful. I have to say, Garda Malcolm McGee has been very thorough and very professional, and I personally thank him for all he is doing and continues to do.
Okay, we're going to continue this conversation. You might be interested in our next guest, the Very Reverend Liz Fitzgerald. Thank you for your time. Seamus Breslin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. Friends of Derry City Cemetery was formed a decade ago. And was that off the back of antisocial behaviour, particularly targeting the cemetery, Seamus?
That's absolutely definite, spot on, and it's nearly identical here. It saddens me to hear what I'm hearing here. I know Raphoe quite well. And 10 years ago, we had an outbreak of vandalism. 21 graves toppled over, young children's graves. There was boot marks where they kicked the cross off and that. And me and a guy called Trevor Temple from the Unions community, it was cross community here, and we said, look, this doesn't have to be this way. We've got to do something about it. So we formed Friends of Derry City Cemetery. We automatically looked at it and says, is this a universal thing? And it is. It might be a bit of consolation to Raphoe, but this happens everywhere, all around the world. And we looked at Edinburgh, we looked at London, we looked at Glasnevin and Dublin, and we looked at even New Zealand, America, and the research indicated that it was getting the community involved, getting the young people involved, getting all the different community groups, a holistic approach to it, highlighting the importance, the sacredness of the site, the historic nature of it. And we made a video, and we distributed it all around all the community groups, youth groups, schools, and we had the local boxer, John Doty, and he pointed on the camera and he says, if you think this is a cool thing to do, it's not, it's shameful, stop it. And with all our personalities, it's on YouTube. And we took tours around. We brought schools, community groups over. We done an anti-vandalism project with local schools, and the local Rathmore Centre here put the winners of the competition. Shameful, stop the vandalism. You want to see the artwork and the feedback we got from schools. And in the 10 years since we've been going, I would say the staff over there telling us that antisocial behaviour and vandalism, and the reckoning of the headstones has went, say, it's dropped right down now to maybe 1%.
So
it was absolutely
it was about education more so than patrols and what have you.
Yeah, that's why we went and we talked Glasnevin, we talked to the people in Edinburgh and everywhere, and they said, look, you can put guard dogs, you can put people with shotguns, watchtowers, you can put everything. That will not solve the problem. What solves the problem is community involvement, education, talking about it, getting on, changing mindsets, etc., etc. And we're volunteers now, and I'm sure that out there in Raphoe, and the great history and heritage of the Ulster, that Lagan Valley, I'm sure that they could replicate our project, because we just replicated our project as well, and it works.
Yeah, and I'm just watching the video here that you mentioned. Heartbreak for Derry family after cemetery damage is one of the screen grabs of some local press that was put out at the time, and you're talking to camera at the moment on it, and it goes on for quite a bit. And the message seeped through then. It got through to those that needed to hear it.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen today nor yesterday, and it didn't go overnight to that. It took weeks, months, years and that, and eventually we got there.
Yeah. And of course, you would hope it's not just.
Belfast was even worse. There used to be joyriding around their cemeteries and that, and fires and drinking and raves and all sorts of antisocial behaviour.
Yeah.
And everybody, and it seems that the community becomes involved, the young people become involved, and whatever, that it gets through. And it's a global thing, so it's not, people think it's really personal because it happens to them in their own. Their small parochial area, but I can assure you this happens all over the world, and it's pretty similar to what happens. And the solution is involvement, and everybody getting involved. And
what do you think happens, Seamus? Do you think the people, whatever age they are, but let's say maybe they could be primarily young, is it about educating them, to educate them that this is sacred ground, that this is important?
Absolutely, definitely. That's what it is. It's about getting out and getting inside their minds and letting them know. And that to them it's just about a fun and it's headstones and one thing and all that. But once they realise then that there's children on there and there's babies on there and there's stories on there and there's heartbreak and how much solace and comfort people get for being in these places and that, it gets through.
Yeah,
it works, but it doesn't work overnight. It's an ongoing thing. It's day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. It gets there and it gets there and it gets there.
And obviously
works.
too, what we've had an issue here as well with robberies at churches, chapels, and what have you as well. Presumably, if the penny drops that this is disrespectful to graveyards, it might sort of help address those other issues as well. Who's to say? I'm a big fan of education and giving people the knowledge to know the difference between right and wrong. It's not always as obvious as we might think.
Yeah, that's for definite. I don't know. Well, maybe I don't know if it is in the rural areas, but in the urban areas, we grew up where we were taking every Sunday to visit our ancestors' graves and our people and pray for them, and we were even scared to walk on top of their graves.
Yeah, for sure. Yes,
and I think over the years we've lost that. And I even said to some of my older children in their 30s and all, would you like to go and visit your great grand? They haven't a clue where they are, but when I was growing up, I knew where they were.
Yeah, same.
Because we were there and we spotted them. People told you stories, and here's this person, and there's that. The history of the world, I would say there must be a fantastic stories all out there, just crying out to be told. And you see, even if you bring even local schools and local community groups on, and you say, look, let's research this person out, it suddenly doesn't become a headstone, it becomes a person. It becomes a person, it becomes a story. And especially, I always find, especially working with young people, it really impacted them when you said, that's a wee baby's grave there.
Yeah.
To say that could be your sister, that could be your mommy. And that, and they're going, thinking, you can see their eyes rolling, when they're going, thought down there. I think it works. And I'm coming from a teaching background.
Yeah, well, the proof of the pudding, you did it, and it's working, and I think it's a good model that could be adopted, not just where there are problems either, Seamus, but where there could be problems.
Well, if you do it before the problems arise, then you can prevent it, can't you? I know that I was absolutely stunned when I heard down about there was a memorial stole down in Castlefin recently from the graveyard and things like that, and then there was an outbreak of drinking and that. They showed something. They actually had a lot of fire up somewhere around one of the graveyards in Lifford and that. And I was going, I mean, this is what you have to do. They're sort of like as we secluded dark areas where people think we can get away with things.
Yeah.
And that you have to go, no, it's not. This is a sacred place. That's why it's so quiet and why it's people don't bother too much about it. Now, because they want people to do exactly what it says on the thing: rest and peace. Huh?
Yeah, all right, we'll leave it at that. That's a strong point. Seamus, thanks for your time. I appreciate it greatly. Seamus Breslin there, who helped form Friends of City Cemetery 10 years ago. It was off the back of similar activity as we've seen, not just at St. Eunan's Cathedral in Raphoe, but elsewhere as well. And it was not about necessarily patrols or what have you. It was about getting information out there, making a video, getting people who... younger people and all people can relate to, getting them to express the message, personalising it, talking about the fact that this could be your baby sister, your auntie, your mum, your granny, and they've seen it work, and it was a model that they've seen work elsewhere. So if it's going to work everywhere else, why wouldn't it work here as well? Definitely, I think, strong food for thought there.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
Discover comfort with iHeating and Cooling, your trusted heat pump engineers and Mitsubishi approved service providers in Donegal. We design, install and maintain cutting edge heating systems. Build a lasting relationship with us through annual service and comprehensive after sales support. Contact us for a free consultation on low cost, low carbon heating solutions. Visit iheatingandcooling.ie today.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
I saw your Be Good baker running by again the other day, says I to old Mr. Brennan. Ah, yes, says he. I've never seen her stand still. And she's running rings around the rest of us with our Brennan's Be Good bread. Only 60 calories a slice. 60 calories, says I. That's just a whole meal, is it? No, says he, it's the whole meal, the whole grain and the white. 60 calories a slice and high in fibre, whatever way you slice it. That's why anything baked is better with Brennan's. Today's bread today.
Winter sale now on at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms. 10% off all purchases for a limited period. T's and C's apply. See in store. Book a free consultation today in our Donegal Town showroom on 074 97 25 822. Luxury kitchens and bedrooms at affordable prices. Expect more and get more at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms.
Actions speak louder than words, so I'll keep the words to a minimum. Last year, thousands of people chose SEAT for their new car. Why? Because with the Arona, Ateca and Tarraco, we have a stunning lineup of SUVs. And we offer a wide range of purchase options to suit your needs. To see what you've been missing out on, visit SEAT.ie and check out our 241 offers. Visit SEAT.ie. What are you waiting for? Go on. SEAT.ie for our 241 offers.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Arona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
So very cold this morning, as you would know, with overnight frost and any ice clearing. Dry with low winter sunshine across many areas in no more than moderate northeast winds. However, cloud will spill into eastern areas with the chance of a few light passing showers in these areas. Temperatures much like recent days, ranging a chilly 3 to 7 degrees. Alison, I think you're like all of us here, trying to make sense of why anyone would go in and do this type of damage to where we put our family and friends to rest.
Done to that fella been on all right, but I mean that shouldn't have to be done. What kind of people or age group is going on to do that?
that they can't leave the dead alone, they can't leave the tombstones alone. I mean, what's happening?
Yeah, it's hard to get your head around. Is it possible they simply don't understand that this is sacred ground and it's so important to the community?
Greg, they must understand when they're going on to do what they're doing. I mean, my goodness. Can they not find anything else to do? Or what is making them do it? Or, you know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
just ridiculous.
There was a bit of a mix-up.
It just makes me so mad to think that you would have your mum or dad or any family member, and you would get in and their grave would be destroyed, and maybe a tombstone up that can't be replaced for years and years. You know, what do you do?
There was a bit of a mix-up, and there was a short period of time whereby I thought something had been done to our parents' grave, and it was a mix-up and nothing had been done. But nothing would prepare you for how that feels, actually. You know,
you can just imagine.
Terrible. It was horrible, horrendous. It just felt like, why? And so many thoughts go through your head in such a short period of time. As I say, as it turned out, it was a misunderstanding. But I don't think, unless it's done to you, you can really understand how this feels so personal and worrying.
Exactly. I mean, it's just, I just can't get my head around it.
But we have to try education, Alison, because we can't police them all the time. So I suppose I wouldn't poo-poo Seamus's suggestion. It has worked in Derry. We probably shouldn't have to do it, but you believe
have to do it.
You believe young people are losing respect, are they?
Oh, big time. Big time.
Do you see it elsewhere in life?
Respect for nothing.
Do you see
respect for nothing?
Yeah. Do you see it elsewhere, or you're just talking about
You
this?
see it everywhere, Greg. You see it all the time. The respect for nobody nor nothing.
Okay.
They're ridiculous. And no matter how the parents tries to talk in the house to them, should they go outside and they do whatever they want to do then? And you know, people blame parents. You don't blame them all the time. You can only advise them, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But I just think that's the lowest.
Yeah,
that they can do.
Yeah. Again, in terms of damage to property, it doesn't get much worse. Okay, Alison, thanks for your time. I fully respect Alison's opinion and her experience. In terms of young people, it wouldn't be my experience. I find the majority of them are really quite respectful, but that's just it can vary from person to person. It doesn't mean one person is wrong and one person is right. Okay, a caller says, even given recent terrible news, there are still people out walking on our roads across the region in dark clothes. Adults with small school children this morning at 8:10, no high visibility outfits on them. It's absolute madness. What else can we do? You know, we're trying our best to use this platform not to dictate to people or to try and control people's lives, but just to try and get the very basic road safety message out there that you have to be seen for a vehicle to not hit you. They may well hit you still, but the best chance you have is if they can see you. And if you're out in the morning or at night, it doesn't matter whether it's morning darkness or nighttime darkness, you have to be wearing high vis. Even the torch on your phone is something, but it's not enough. The high vis, it pops up for the driver and you can be seen. And as I say, I know we keep going on about it, but if I didn't, I would feel guilty. So please, if you're out at night or in the morning when it's dark or dusk, please wear high vis. And the low sunshine as well is really difficult in the afternoon and evenings. We all have to make sure that we're able to see each other as best we can. All right, stay there. We'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can now test drive the new Toyota CHR, combining standout styling, an engaging drive and class-leading efficiency.
Keep out the cold, and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Fabric World Maydown Derry biggest ever winter sale now on trend and in stock curtain and upholstery fabrics all on sale. Over 3,000 metres now half price or less. Free curtain design ready-made curtains up to half price and lining from £1 with fabulous rates on the Euro in store at Fabric World Maydown Derry.
You're useless. Worthless. I look after the money because you're a dope. You'd be nothing without me. Nobody cares about you. That's what abusers tell us. It's all lies. You deserve to be safe, and when you ask for help, you will be heard.
If you're living with domestic or sexual violence, support is always here. Visit alwayshere.ie or call an Garda Síochána.
Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Caróí the vaccine flu agus COVID-19 leat do chóras a mínachta a náirtónaig tinnas chumcúiseach. Multar vaccine flu dich má tá tú 65 nóní sinna. Multar chandáile COVID-19 dich má tá tú 50 nóní sinna. Multar an dá vaccine dibre chóram sláinte agus déan duine tá gompar cluine nó bhfuil rug sláinte fe téarmach arú. Leir le Dr. Tiley nó cógasúir an fartach nó chun níos mó ólas áil fecar hsc.ie ón HSC.
Discover incredible savings at McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles. Their massive 10-day sale lasts until January 20th. Enjoy discounts on a wide range of items including stock tiles, bathroom furniture and freestanding baths from €749. Prices have been slashed on stock mirrors and tile radiators. Elevate your shower experience with a generous 20% off shower doors and screens, alongside many other fantastic offers available at McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles, located at Cockhill, Boncrana.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The rector in charge of the group of parishes, which includes St Eunan's Cathedral in Raphoe, has spoken of her shock and distress at the vandalism of headstones in the graveyard grounds. Yesterday, Gardaí issued an appeal for information after damage was caused to 8 headstones, some of which were broken while others were pulled out of the ground between December 19th and January 3rd. On the afternoon of the 3rd, one stone was pushed over in the early afternoon. On today's 9 till noon show, Very Reverend Liz Fitzgerald, Dean of St Eunan's Cathedral, praised the Garda response to the vandalism and urged anyone with information to come forward.
Really, I was shocked and horrified when I received a phone call on Wednesday to tell me that there'd been damage to some of the graves. Headstones have been uprooted, taken off the ground, off their foundations and laid flat. And we've had 3 old ancient headstones and burial slab broken as well. I think first of all there's an element of disbelief. How could this happen in Raphoe? Because it's a very peaceful place, a very respectful place.
Minister Eamon Ryan is due to visit Donegal tomorrow. The minister is expected to travel to County House in Lifford tomorrow afternoon. The Cathaoirleach of the Glenties Municipal District, Councillor Michael McClafferty, says he will seize the opportunity to make the minister aware of issues facing people in the county, particularly in rural areas. Councillor McClafferty says one of the main issues he'll raise is the prohibiting of planning along the N56, an issue he says has been plaguing people for years.
The main one that myself and my other Glenties colleagues will be certainly pushing with him tomorrow will be the access on to the N56. The issues we have here at the minute with the planning so on to the N56. A lot of people around here, basically, we'll take for example the lanes in the mountain top beside yourself there, right on through the towns, Kilmacrennan, Christla, on to Falcara, Guidore, right on to Glenties. All that road there is affected.
The speed limit on the 4-lane road outside Letterkenny has increased to 60 kilometres an hour. The limit's been revised following the switching on of 3 pedestrian cycle crossing facilities on the route, the main artery into Letterkenny. Donegal County Council says the lights are being monitored during this initial period, which marks the end of the roadworks which have been taking place for around 2 years. Motorists are being urged to take extra care and pay attention to the new lights and other road users who may be walking or cycling. It's understood the British government is looking at overturning all sub-postmaster convictions in the Post Office Horizon scandal. The UK's Post Office Minister says an announcement is imminent as hundreds of people were wrongfully prosecuted over fraud and theft. They're still awaiting compensation years on, including in counties Derry and Tyrone. The British Prime Minister is expected to make an announcement later. Belfast-based solicitor Michael Madden, who represents several clients caught up in the scandal, says there are still more to come forward.
Even this week since the drama came out, I've been contacted by a number of people who find it very, very difficult to come forward, really because of the devastation that they've had. They've tried to put that behind them. They've dealt with it in whatever way they can, and they've tried to make it their own history.
14 migrants are being processed at City West in Dublin after being found in a trailer at Rosslare Europort. 12 adults and 2 children were in the refrigerated container after arriving from Belgium. Justice Minister Helen McEntee says she's concerned for their well-being. Wexford People journalist Brendan Furlong says the alarm was initially raised with the UK Coast Guard, who then alerted the Irish authorities.
Almost immediately, a multi-agency emergency was taking place in Rosslare Europort. Apparently, when Gardaí attended the trailer, a hole had been bored in the side of the trailer to allow for air during the journey. Well, a number of those were found on the floor of the ship at that particular time.
Early Childhood Ireland says 8,200 children in the county are being failed. The organisation says the ongoing issues facing early years and school-age care settings in Donegal can only be addressed with a coherent 5-year plan. With more, here's Michaela Clark.
Early Childhood Ireland says the lack of proper planning is failing providers, parents and most importantly the estimated 8,209 children who attend settings in Donegal. Director of Policy Francis Byrne says staff recruitment and retention is undoubtedly the number one challenge the 91 Early Childhood Ireland member settings in Donegal are currently grappling with, caused by low pay and a lack of pensions. Other issues facing the sector include the amount of time being spent on administrating government funding programmes and the need for further investment and a coherent medium to long-term plan for the sector.
Well, the forecast staying very cold this morning with overnight frost and ice clearing, staying dry with low winter sunshine. Top temperatures this afternoon 3 to 7 degrees Celsius, and that's Highland Radio News for now. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. You can check all of today's stories, of course, on our website highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, have a very good morning.
The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, January the 10th. The death has occurred of Dr. John Hines, 8 Ballymacool, Carolina Park, Letterkenny, County Donegal, formerly of Slough, Berkshire. John will repose at his daughter Deirdre's residence, 8 The Green, Ballymacool, Letterkenny, today from 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock. House private to family and close friends. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to travel to Lakelands Crematorium, County Cavan for cremation at 12 noon. The death has taken place of Evelyn Shields, Cross Quigley's Point. Evelyn's remains are reposing at her home, where you're welcome to pay your respects. Funeral mass for Evelyn will take place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Columba's Church Drung, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Evelyn's funeral mass can be viewed live on stcolumbasdrung.net. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Respiratory Integrated Care, CDM Hub at Letterkenny, for the attention of AMP Sonia Murray. And the death has taken place of Anthony McHenry, Glenagivney, Leckamy, Merville. Anthony's remains are reposing overnight at St Columba's Church at Balnacray. Funeral mass will take place this morning at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Carndonagh Community Hospital Patients Comfort Fund. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Whether you're adventuring, salsa dancing, or you just popped out for some milk, you're not always home. With An Post, that's not a problem. You can set up a safe spot for us to put your deliveries when you're not in, or rearrange delivery to your local post office. And if something's not right, you can quickly return it with a collection from your door or drop at your local post office. Online shopping, made easy with An Post. An Post, for your world.
You're very welcome back to the second hour of this Wednesday's 9 till noon show. Let's go to an email we received in here. Hi, Greg. I've been thinking about contacting you with regard to this for a few days now. This is just to highlight the goodness of people, and especially young people. We are quick to judge people without really getting to know them, including through their ethnicity or their age. I was in Letterkenny on the 29th of September and ended up with a flat battery in my little run-around Peugeot. I was stranded down at the shopping complex across from Deal's in the midst of an open bonnet, pouring rain and trying to phone my husband. This young man stopped in the middle of the busy traffic and asked if I needed help. He said, I'll go and get you a set of jump leads, to which I replied, are you sure? He said, I'll phone my brother and see if he can meet me halfway. Anyway, he proceeds to phone his brother and then said, look, I'll be about half an hour, it depends on traffic. I honestly wasn't sure if he was serious or not, but sat in my car while all other cars went about their day. True to his word, sometime later, this young man returned, parked in the middle of the road and set up the jump leads, and we got the car started. I couldn't believe they'd come back for me and asked his name and where he'd gone. He said his name was Bernard and that he'd gone to Manor for the jump leads. I only had €20, which he gave him, and thanked him for coming back to me. I said, Bernard, you're an angel. What's your full name? He said, Bernard McDonough. A lovely young man and a real gentleman. So if Bernard hears this, or anyone who knows him hears this, I want him to know that I won't forget his good deed. Just wanted to give you a good news story. That's coming in from Margaret. Margaret, thank you for that. More comments here. Not wearing high-vis or bright clothing is a big problem at the moment. I'm in the Rosses. Everyone walks about these days in dark clothes with their hoods up and probably headphones in. A friend of mine gave out high-vises in the Dunlow area to help with this problem, and still no one's wearing them. People need to be aware of how dangerous the roads in Donegal are. Once it's dusk, you're unable to see walkers. I don't understand how people on the road don't get it, because we're so cautious. We seem to be scared and worried about everything in life now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, everything's going to harm or kill us. This is something that really genuinely could, and we don't seem to take it seriously. Just read that one. These tombstones wouldn't have been vandalised by children or young people. Young people make a mess with drink or whatever. A caller believes in Donegal we've got an anti-Protestant side. We know exactly what happened in Castlefin. I'm a Protestant, and it's so sad to see people don't want Protestants to have anything or to celebrate being a Protestant. Another, this is a disgrace to happen in any burial ground, never mind religion. I wouldn't make any I wouldn't distinguish at all between whatever the background of whomever it was or who was buried there. It's just an attack on sacred ground and people's loved ones and their headstones. Hi, Greg. How could you bring a world rally to the northwest and every hotel full with people? Well, that's not a situation that's going to pertain forever. A caller says you need to take vitamin D in Ireland all year round as we get very little sun, not just up until St. Patrick's Day. Okay, a vitamin D promoter there. Another caller says drugs here are the issue. Someone out of their head, allegedly. Not a person in their right mind would go into a graveyard and do this. Another caller says, I passed 14 people out walking last night between the road and the footpaths. How many of the 14 would you say were wearing high-vis jackets or any high-vis at all? And they counted them and they noted it. Oh, I've forgotten now already. Two out of 14 were wearing high-vis. Right, okay. One final remark here before we go to the bingo numbers. The Pope has called for a universal ban on the, in inverted commas, despicable practice of surrogate motherhood, as he included the commercialisation of pregnancy. As a family, who are a family because my sister volunteered to carry our child after 8 pregnancies for us, ended before full term. I'm sick and insulted by his talk. I thought the Pope was different and was making a real change at bringing the Catholic Church into the 20th century. Coincidentally, the same Catholic Church accepted money to baptise my surrogate child. And the same church that sold children as well, effectively, historically. I'm really sorry for how you must feel with those comments. It is out of the blue. I thought it was out of the blue. I commented on it yesterday when I read the... commented on it yesterday, like, why this, why now? I didn't see a massive pushback or objection or issue to it, and there's so many reasons as to why people might do that, but that's what he chose to speak on. And this is one listener who really found it quite offensive. Again, what do you think? 086 60 25,000.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 10th of January. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S8. It's game number 2. The numbers are 58, 74, 15, 30, 32, 34, 35, 7, 29, and finally 18. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Le déanaí táimid ile ag déileáil le costais arda fuinneamh. Tá ahra déanta ag a lán daoine chun an úsáid fuinneamh a leidú. Tá tacaíocht ar fáil má tá tú ag stracailt. Má tá triblód agat de bhilí a íoch, leabhar le de haláthaí a luas féidir. Tá cosantaí agsúla ar fáil de chuisteméirí. Tá cáir ar fáil ó agrachtaí ar nós MABS agus a lón freisin. Chun faisnéis áil, té chuig gov.ie/úsáid níos lú ó rialtas na Héireann.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
The 9 to Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Now, Senator Francis Black, an independent, along with colleagues, have written to Micheál Martin to ask him to join South Africa in charging Israel with genocide at the International Court of Justice. She believes it's not enough to passively call for a ceasefire. Ireland must take action to prevent the slaughter in Gaza. Senator Francis Black is with us on the programme now. Senator, thank you very much for your time. Good morning to you.
You're very welcome.
It's actually really hard to comprehend what we're seeing, isn't it? And even the language. I heard Blinken saying that there's too many people dying, too many innocent people dying. Like, what, too many? Is one not too many? It's just so passive, the language, when people are enduring such a horrendous situation.
It's absolutely, it's beyond comprehension, Greg. I mean, it's really hard to believe that 4 months on, the war on Palestinian civilians is still ongoing, and we have 23,000 people have been killed, including 10,000 children. Many of them actually are women and children. Many thousands are believed to be lying under the rubble at this very moment. Tens of thousands have been seriously wounded. A majority of the population have lost their homes to this 3-month bombing campaign. And I mean, Israel has now intensively and repeatedly targeted the supposedly safe zones to which it has ordered Palestinian civilians to flee. So it's just, and I actually think, you know, they're nearly conservative figures because of the fact that there are many likely bodies trapped under the rubble. We actually don't know.
Is it fair for me to ask you what you think the motivation of the international community generally is to sort of ignore this, to really effectively give Israel, other than some words, a free pass to do what they're doing? What is the game here?
I mean, I think the reality is that, you know, the support from the US that Israel are getting is almost giving them, you know, a free hand to do what they want. I mean, they're trying to, there's no doubt about it, Craig, they're trying to ethnically cleanse Gaza. They want to build like illegal settlements there to satisfy the government's far-right religious extremist base. They speak openly about driving Palestinians into the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, and they're trying to negotiate with various African states to receive, you know, Palestinians that they want to drive out. And Israel has always sought to claim the maximum amount of Palestinian land with the fewest number of Palestinians living in it. You know, they've achieved the historically, like, through massive indiscriminate violence, you know, they've achieved this historically through the massive indiscriminate violence. And, you know, in 1948, Zionist militias ethnically cleansed 750,000 people from 522 villages in what's now Israel. So, like, I mean, we know what their agenda is. It's ethnically cleansing, but they're being supported, unfortunately, by America. And look, I just feel that Ireland, has to do more. And along with my Shannon colleagues in the Civil Engagement Group, we did send a letter to the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach asking them to join South Africa's case at the ICJ or to initiate their own proceedings. And as a signatory to the Genocide Convention, Ireland has a positive obligation to do everything in its power to halt a potentially ongoing genocide. We have that ability. You know, Ireland filed an intervention in Ukraine's case against Russia to under the Genocide Convention in the International Court of Justice, and the refusal to do the same when it comes to Palestine, I believe, is cowardly and hypocritical. And that's why myself and the Civil Engagement Group colleagues, my Civil Engagement Group colleagues, sent that letter to the Taoiseach, because, you know, it's absolutely vital that Ireland takes more action. And the Palestinian people look to Ireland because of the, I brought in a bill back in 2018 called the Occupied Territories Bill. And, the Palestinian people were so grateful and appreciative of that bill, and they look to Ireland for support. So, we need to act decisively and comprehensively to ensure that we live up to our obligations.
Yeah, and also one shouldn't forget either that much of North Gaza, and it's probably going to end up with the rest of it, has been flattened to the point where no one can return. It'd be far beyond fighting Hamas after their despicable acts early October. The area is being flattened. There is nothing really to return to. Ireland has been has gone a little bit further in its language through the likes of Leo Varadkar and Micheál Martin in calling for ceasefires. Some really quite strong language. You don't believe, obviously, that goes far enough. Presumably, you would welcome the fact that our language seems a little bit more direct and stronger than others.
Well, I suppose just to say that we sent the letter because, it's great that they called for a ceasefire. It's not enough, though, Greg. And the government's it's like passive calls for a ceasefire. They don't reflect the depth and passion of the Irish people's solidarity with Palestine and their horror at what is being done in Gaza and across Palestine. And the protests and actions all over this country and the hundreds of thousands of emails and phone calls that politicians have been receiving prove that the people in this country want the government to take tangible action to help stop the horrors that's being inflicted on the Palestinian civilians. And the other reason that we sent that letter is because, a case, and we have to really be mindful of this, a case in the International Court of Justice isn't just a symbolic rebuke of Israel. This court can take real significant steps to alleviate suffering at an early stage. And that's really, really important. I really think that's very important. It would take several months for the case to be resolved and for a full judgment to be released. However, the judges at the ICJ can impose preliminary protective measures if they think there's a risk that genocide is ongoing. So
it's interesting.
I think that's really important.
Leo, it's interesting. Leo Varadkar's remarks into this is that he said that he's reluctant to accuse South Africa of genocide unless he's absolutely convinced that genocide has occurred in occupied Palestine. He justified that by saying, I'd be a little bit uncomfortable about accusing Israel, a Jewish state, of genocide, given the fact that 6 million Jews, over half the population of Jews in Europe, were killed. That certainly was a genocide. A genocide is defined, as you know, as a deliberate attempt to eliminate an entire population or a large part of it. Now, in your letter to Micheál Martin and others, you clearly outlined how you believe and others believe that this actually is a genocide. You cite the meaning and what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa's legal team have documented many examples of genocidal rhetoric being used in public by Israeli political and military leaders. And, incitement to genocide and conspiracy to commit genocide are separate crimes under Article 3 of the Convention, and the huge civilian death toll in Gaza, the systemic destruction of infrastructure necessary to support human life there, and the efforts Israel is making to ethnically cleanse Palestinians from the Gaza and the West Bank constitute genocide as outlined in Article 2 of the Convention. So there's no credible legal or moral argument for not joining with South Africa at the ICJ. The government, I believe, is making a shameful political calculation out of what I think is out of deference to Washington and Brussels.
So you believe that it's not really about us being sure about what the definition of genocide is you are of the view that the Irish government is towing the Washington/Brussels party line?
Absolutely. I believe they're listening too much, and they need to, and they're talking about not being able to do this unilaterally. I think that's not true. We can do it unilaterally. Now South Africa are doing it. We can do it. We can get behind South Africa's case at the ICJ. And as I said earlier, it means referring Israel to the International Criminal Court, as several other countries have done. So we wouldn't be doing it unilaterally. And again, as I say, we did it. Ireland did it when Russia invaded Ukraine.
I think
just think it's slightly.
Yeah.
I just think there's a slight hypocrisy.
Double standards. I think
Absolutely,
they've been accused of
double standards, and it's wrong.
Now, listen. I don't have as much detail as you have. I'm gathering information all the time and formulating opinions and what have you. But the one thing I think we need to be certain of, regardless of current government, opposition, whatever it might be, we really need to be careful here that we find ourselves on the right side of history, because history is being written right now, and it's our children and our grandchildren, and we often look back in history and wonder, well, why didn't anyone say anything, or how would that happen? That couldn't really happen in a democracy, or whatever it might be, But we're living through this now, and I think it's vital, as I say, whatever the right thing to do is. I have my sense of what it might be, but it's certainly important that we find ourselves, I think, on the right side of history.
Absolutely.
Because this will be remembered forever, what's happening right now.
And can I just say before we finish up, Greg, that we need people power now. And, the government are meant to be, acting on behalf of the people of this country. And the people of this country, we know what the people of this country, they support Palestine, absolutely. So I would call on people who are listening here today to write their local government representative, their local government TDs, senators, Fianna Fáil, Green Party, Fine Gael, please write to them and ask them to support South Africa. And we've only got, it's going to be happening tomorrow, we've only got a day, but we need to do that today, to keep writing. And then we also have a very large march this coming Saturday in Dublin. And again, we really need the people, because the government, we vote in the government. The people vote in the government. They're working on behalf of the people, and they're not listening to the people. And that's what's concerning me at this time. They're not listening to the people. So we have to keep the pressure on. We need people here. We did it back in the 80s with South Africa, Greg. We did it back and they eventually had to listen to us. So please, I'm asking the people of Donegal, of all over the country who are listening, to please write to their local government representatives today and ask them to support South Africa's case at the ICJ.
Okay, listen, thank you for your time this morning. I do appreciate it. That is Independent Senator Frances Black. Thank you. Good morning to you. Okay, what do you think? What do you feel? 086 60 25,000. A caller says, this time last year, Joe Biden was great friends to Ireland. He's now sending money to Israel for weapons. He's sending tons of weapons to Israel. In Ireland, we couldn't even send over our army. I don't know now if Joe is a friend to Ireland or not. We should be reaching out to Mr. Biden, not the Irish government, that caller says.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Oh, Kira, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking...
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice, so if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie, Massachusetts, come to Auntie Hannah.
Mr. Blue Sky. Wednesday's Lotto jackpot is an estimated €12 million. So, what's the first thing you'd do with €12 million? That is genius. Better get a ticket soon. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
A new year, a new floor. At Florit, we offer quality solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a vast choice of parquet herringbone flooring, all fitted and tailored to your needs. Call in today and see for yourself the fantastic offers available this January. Call Florit today on 087 161 7008 or visit florit.ie.
What features do you like in a new car?
Good tech. A big screen for playing music and putting up maps.
Comfort. The car has to be comfortable. I like good bright LED headlights.
I like a reversing camera and sensors.
I look for a good warranty and a decent price. Well, the new Citroën C4X U Edition has all these features and more. Test drive the new Citroën C4X at Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Oh, and the price? $29,900 on the road.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
One of the UK's biggest miscarriages of justice, the wrongful conviction of hundreds of post office workers due to faulty software, has exploded into the public domain following a TV drama sparking demands for justice. In a more than 20-year scandal, some postal workers were sent to prison and others lost their livelihoods and homes. An independent inquiry, as well as a police investigation into the scandal, are ongoing, and top business executives and former ministers are in the firing line. Fiona Elliott joins us on the programme now. She's a former postmistress from Claddagh on the border of Castlefin in Donegal and Northern Ireland. Thank you for joining us, Fiona.
Hi, Craig.
Before we sort of get into how you found yourself sort of involved in this, what has the last few weeks been like with people actually finally talking about it and a drama really being what seems to be the catalyst to get this right back at the top of the agenda again? Is it surreal? Is it about time? Is it frustrating? Are you happy? Are you angry?
I am happy and I'm angry, mixed emotions. The programme has brought a lot of attention to the public, which is a very powerful programme, and I'm glad that everybody has seen the post office as what it is now and what has happened to all the people and all the suffering they have caused over the years.
So you took over the post office in Claddagh in 2005, and this was your sort of forever job. I would suppose you'd have seen it as that, Fiona. When did things start? When did things start to change for you in the context of this scandal?
Almost straight away after we took it on, we saw a lot of discrepancies coming up in the system. So I kept phoning up the helpline and asking for help, asking for them to come out and give further training, but no help was ever given. Then eventually I rang up and asked them for an audit because I was steady putting money in from the shop till over into the post office till to keep it all right. I asked for the audit. They came out and audited the place and they said that there's thousands missing. They demanded cash immediately. I went and got them the cash and give it to them. They gave me a wee handwritten receipt for the cash and took the keys to the post office and suspended me for 6 weeks. So I got a solicitor involved then, and I went to a meeting in the head post office and they lifted the suspension because I had gone ahead and got a solicitor involved. I think that's the reason why it was lifted so quick, and because I had put all the money in that the system showed had lost. So I think I was one of the lucky ones. If I hadn't put that money in, it could have been a different story today.
You should never have had to have done that, though. I mean, I can only imagine, and you've said it in a couple of sentences, but the stress and anxiety over months and years, wondering, well, where was this money going? How was it going missing? Were you miscounting? Was someone else... it must have been incredibly, incredibly stressful for you.
Oh, very, very stressful. We spent a lot of hours trying to find the missing money, and we were doubting ourselves, we were doubting our staff. It was terrible. No, definitely terrible at the time.
So you paid the 6,000 back. At that point, then, did more money appear to go missing, or did that sort of ride you over the main focus, the main time frame of this scandal?
No, it still was continuing in the system. You would have rolled over on a Wednesday night, and you would have went in on a Thursday, and it would have showed a discrepancy again in the morning. So overnight, the were going to be minuses. We couldn't understand. We thought even it might have been a problem with the internet in the area as well, because we're so rural. But turned out to be then that it was the system all along.
And you talked of your relief or being somewhat lucky following that meeting with the four men, being told you wouldn't face any criminal offences. It could have gone either way for you, but at that point, any love for the business or attitude towards it was gone, I presume.
That's right. I had lost all heart in it then, so it did. I just thought it was costing us money to keep it open, so we just lost all heart in the business.
And what happened?
The shop end then was struggling.
Yeah, exactly, because it was a full a business that one relied a little bit on the other, I'm sure. And then what happened? How did that leave you in terms of presumably you'd invested money or money? We know you'd lost the 6,000, but how did this affect your life, your home? You weren't beyond impact.
At the time then, we lost the shop, the post office, and we lost a buy-to-let property alongside that, another buy-to-let property at the time. So we did. And we had them all bought before that had happened, which wasn't sustainable then to keep everything going.
I have not yet had an opportunity to watch this programme, and I've only read over it over a number of years, but they hardly thought that so many postmasters were individually stealing money. Did they not sort of see a pattern here and saying, well, there's something going on here. We can't have all of these people doing the same thing.
I see, they told us all that we were the only ones.
Wow.
They told everybody we were the only ones. And there's been thousands now has come forward.
I mean, people have went to jail for this. Marriages were destroyed.
People went to jail.
They
That's
died
right.
before
People
the names were cleared.
Yeah. That's right. It's just terrible altogether. There's so much suffering over the years with it all.
And in terms of the ongoing inquiry, do you follow that? Do you have much interest in that?
Just kind of getting updates weekly on it. So we do have the meeting every Friday with our solicitors and barristers, and I follow it through that just.
Yeah, okay. And how did you watch the programme, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, out of interest?
I did. I watched it all in the one night.
And what did you make of it in terms of how it captured, people's experiences?
Oh, it just was so true. These things were just happening. It was just so true. And what people had went through, we all went through all the suffering over the years and all the doubting that we had doubted that we were the only ones in this system. Was definitely nothing wrong with this system, that the money was going missing and we were the ones responsible to put it back in. It just goes to show how many people actually was involved in it. And how good it was for everybody to come as a team and stick as a team. And Alan Bates for, making the programme and things like that. That's good, powerful teamwork between everybody, to get it this far now.
And again, I just find it remarkable that it took a drama for things to change. Obviously, there's huge political pressure now to speed things up, to sort out accommodation. We've seen the former Post Office boss, Paula Venables, yesterday handing back her CBE. This after more than 1 million people signed a petition for her to be stripped of it. She handed it back. This all over the Horizon IT scandal. It's like all blown up. It must be a little bit surreal because you've lived this, since 2005, effectively.
That's right. Well, I think it was the right thing for her to do, to hand back that, but it was long overdue, really. But hopefully everything will be going in the right direction now, and we can finally get closure on all this.
Yeah, hugely important that for you and for so many others affected by this. And as I say, there are people who have passed, their names not cleared, people who've spent time in prison, and then the impact it has on their lives outside of that, marriage breakups and what have you, and mounting debt. And then obviously, you know, wanting your name cleared, to be officially told you did nothing wrong and to be compensated for that. Well, we hope that happens sooner rather than later. Fiona Elliott, thank you very much for your time this morning.
No bother, thank you, Craig.
All right, take care. Bye-bye, Fiona. That's Fiona Elliott, who's a former postmistress from Clady on the border of Castlefin, between Donegal and Northern Ireland, of course. That Horizon IT scandal very soon after she took over that post office, money started going missing. It didn't go missing, but the Horizon IT system suggested it did. But what was really interesting, it was happening to so many people. And no one in the post office, or certainly no one soon enough, said, well, it can't be all these people individually that are stealing money. There has to be a problem with the system. But they were telling people individually that they were the only ones. It's crazy stuff. Definitely going to get to watch that show, hopefully now, between now and the weekend. A caller says, I empathise with your Protestant texter and I share a sense of outrage and sadness for the wanton and shameful destruction, but would try to suspend any snap judgment as this truly is a global phenomenon. I would infer that damaged and disturbed individuals are responsible regardless of denomination. And I didn't want to in any way try and blunt that earlier texter's listener, but unfortunately, and the trend, I don't think these people discriminate between one or other. We have seen Catholic churches, Protestant churches, the damage done to the graveyards, of course, but churches entered, money stolen, donation boxes opened, damage done to altars. You know, I don't really think that these people that are responsible for this really do distinguish between one religion or another. I'd be very surprised if they did. But what we've seen is that many churches have been, from all denominations, have been targeted. A caller says, whoever said that about Protestants doesn't know what they're talking about. Think they want to stir up something that's never been here. It's how they feel, though. And I'm not the thought police. If that's how they feel, I want to give them a platform to say so, but hopefully we'll get a balance on that whole issue in the round. Fine people who do not wear high-vis, then they'll start wearing it, is one listener's suggestion. It comes in from time to time, no doubt about that. They need to bring in on-the-spot fines for people walking without high-vis. It's very selfish and dangerous what they're doing. Poor drivers always blamed. Another, hi Greg, I'm in shock at a person walking at a dangerous bend in the dark at Ballymacool yesterday evening, completely head to toe in black clothes. And not only that, walking on the roadside with no footpath and cars having to go around them. And the sad thing about it is there's no footpath on the opposite side of the road serving walkers. If you are a walker, I just want to get an insight into it. There's bound to be some of you out there listening that that walk in dark clothing. Can you give us an insight into it? And it's not, you can do it anonymously, by the way, text in the show. It's not to try and single anyone out, but what's going through the head? Is it that the cars can see me? Is it that I'm not really on the road? Like, what is the mindset of someone who is prepared to walk on a dark road in dark clothing with cars, lorries, tractors, all heading in their direction or behind them? Let us know. As I say, it's only to get an insight. It's not in any way to try and sort of, you know, attribute blame or anything like that there. Okay, we are going to take a quick break and then we're going to be reacting to a comment that we received yesterday from a business owner regarding the employment of under 18s, and it sparked quite a bit of feedback, and we're going to talk about that on air after these.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
If you've got a smart meter, you should get an Electric Ireland smart meter plan too. Why? Because you can see a breakdown of your energy usage like never before. From heating, cooking, lighting and more. Now you can find out exactly how much electricity you use by hour, day and type of appliance. making your usage clearer and your world brighter. Sign up to a smart meter plan at electricireland.ie. Smart meter required, T's and C's apply.
January Super Savers at Homeland. Willow Warm Briquettes. Buy 5 bales, get 1 free. 5 kg Wild Bird Peanuts. Buy 2 for $25.99. Save 25% off all Dulux Ready Mix Colour Emulsion. Regatta Clothing. Save 20% across all lines. Shop all offers in-store and online at homeland.ie. Offers available until January 21st.
At iMotors, our brand new Kia 241 range is ready to go for immediate delivery. As Donegal's home for Kia, with 7 years warranty and low finance rates from 1.9% on EV cars and 3.9% on the rest of the range. Check out our stylish and diverse range at imotors.ie. iMotors, your local Kia dealership.
Backstage Bar and Grill is open for breakfast, lunch and dinner 7 days a week. If you're looking for healthy options this January, we have a great selection of delicious salads, sandwiches and more. Call Century Complex on 074 91 219 76 to book your table.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A Triple Plus rated Airona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Dry with low winter sunshine across many areas in no more than moderate northeast winds. Cloud will spill into eastern areas with the chance of a few light passing showers in these areas. Temperatures, much like recent days, ranging a chilly 3 to 7 degrees. Now, we received this comment from a listener, and it reads as follows. I'm a business owner who employs people of all ages. I think that young people should do the first few months for free before I invest in them. I wonder if other employers agree with this. I personally will no longer be employing young people of this age. Many need a mentor for about a year. From January, I have to pay 15 and 16-year-olds €8.90 an hour. Many of them are not worth €5 an hour. It takes months to train them, and at times training can be unsuccessful. I might as well pay the extra and hire the 18-year-old who I know has a better work ethic. This is an attitude many business owners I know are now developing, and it will have a huge impact on young people. What are your opinions on this? Now, this is a genuine, by the way, this is a genuine email we received from a business owner. We're not in the business of making stuff up here. So we were able to verify that business owner. That is their view. Let's talk to some guests on this now. Susan, a previous youth worker. What's your views on this business person's comments, Susan? Good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. When I read the comments last night, I thought they were completely absurd. First of all, I think that anonymous comments don't really deserve the time of day. You know, people can say these kind of contentious things under the cloak of anonymity, but if they were to actually put their name to something like this, I think they might have a lot different attitude. But speaking from my own experience as someone who started working in a bar at the age of 16 and working with young people, I can safely say that some of the young people I've worked with have been the most hardworking, respectful people I have worked with. And I suppose when you read a comment like that, you have to kind of read between the lines of why this comment was made in the first place. And it looks like perhaps this employer isn't giving the support and respect to the young people that are in their employment, and that is probably where the issue lies. You know, young people need to be supported and respected just like everybody else. Offer training, include them, and obviously as well it comes to the correct recruitment procedures, which obviously have not been followed here. Otherwise, you would have been able to fit the young people to the position required.
Yeah, and whilst publicly the comment is anonymous, if this is a view amongst at least some business owners, I think it's worthwhile to have the conversation out in public, because what could be happening, you could have 15 and 16-year-olds going to this business, you know, fingers crossed this could be them getting a summer job or what have you, and they don't have a chance because this person's already made up their mind that they'd prefer to invest in the 18-year-old. It's unfortunate. It's a shame and a waste of time for the younger applicants.
Well, I think it's actually probably good for the younger applicants, so they won't be getting employed by people that have this kind of attitude anyway. I think it's much better for them to get employed by someone who is supportive, who is respectful. And if they don't get employed by an employer like the person who made these comments, then I think that's probably better for everybody involved.
All right, Susan, listen, thank you very much for that. That's Susan away there now. Bernie's owner of Stitch It Bernie. You're like me. You started working at 14, Bernie. I never stopped. I left school and started working at 14. That's my background anyway. But anyway, to your point more generally, Bernie.
Yeah, I agree with the girl there just before me. But I think there's more than just 15 and 16-year-olds with bad attitude. There's adults that be in these jobs that doesn't want to be there, but they're there and they're getting paid. So, like, I have young kids. Well, not young, but they're that age. And one of them got work placement through his college, Southwest College in Omagh, and he worked 3 days, but he got £20, and I had to drive him nearly 30 miles for them 3 mornings and evenings, and he worked from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and he got about £20 for them 3 days. Like, that wasn't even a tenner a day. I think that's disgraceful the way they do treat young people. It's not very fair. We're all young. I started when I was 14. I did babysitting before that, and I got paid. You know, everywhere you went, you got paid, and that was it. There should be a start wage, which whenever I was, and then every 6 months when you get on, it goes up.
Is there any room in your mind, Bernie, for, say, for instance, £5 an hour if there is training provided? I mean, do you think there's any sort of middle ground there?
I don't think so. I don't think a £5 an hour. Why would they get out of their bed for £5 an hour? Because you got to think that they're not driving these kids at 15 and 16 years of age. They have to get transported to this work, wherever the work is, or somebody has to take them. So they're out that money before they even go to the job. So why would they work for a £5 an hour? And like, I worked, 35 years ago, and it was more than a £5 an hour then.
Exactly, and we were all young once. I mean, it's the way the system
and we all
works,
need to
isn't
start.
it?
Yeah, and what's to stop that person from employing 15 and 16-year-olds, keep them on for a couple of months, drop them, bring on a couple of more, keep them on a couple of months, and keep doing that so he has free labour all the time. I don't think that's very fair.
Okay. Pamela joins us as well. Hiya, Pamela.
Hi there. Hi.
I'm all right. Your view is a little bit more sympathetic, I think, to that business owner.
Well, I suppose it is, yeah, because I see both sides of that argument. Okay, first of all, I have to applaud him for making such a controversial comment because there was a lot of backlash there, and I think people reacted with their heart. But haven't thought about it. I think it's important to sort of highlight that, you know, he's thinking about money. I think money would probably be his main motivation, and he's not seeing training a young person as an investment. He's not thinking about that young person long term, and he's placing all the blame and responsibility at the teenager's feet, and that he's saying that basically they should be coming to him with skills that he requires them to have if he's going to take them on unemployment. But they're just out of school. There's a reason why they left school in the first instance at the age of 15 or 16. He, as a responsible employer then, should be thinking about them as an investment. He should see them that they are a diamond in the rough. It's his responsibility to select the right candidate. It's his responsibility to shine up that diamond in the rough and turn it into a diamond, where he's sort of highlighting, I guess, that he's not a responsible employer.
But you, Pamela, are of the view there are two parties in this, though, and that he should see the benefits and the potential in the young person, but that the young person should see the benefit in the mentorship and the development. And therefore, do you believe there should be an element of free labour or reduced cost labour if that's the nature of the relationship?
No, I don't believe that at all. No. If that employer is expecting a person to join him for 3 months and work for him for 3 months without paying him free labour, what he's done is just devalue that young person. He's told that young person that he's not going to be valued as an employee, that he doesn't have the worth to have the status of employee. I think really the what's required there is that employer has a mindset change, that he changes his attitudes. And I'm just saying he, because obviously I realise
no, it's generic. I get
a
you.
woman as well. Yes. He needs to change his attitudes and his perceptions and realise that this is an investment. It is long term. That young person, once they are polished up, could be excellent at the job, but to pay them nothing is basically devaluing them at the outset. Therefore, if the young person doesn't feel valued, why should they give value then back to that employer? Even in the long term, if the argument is that the employer said, oh, but I train them up and then they leave their skills, they go off to Australia, they go off to Europe, you're making an investment. You're taking a risk as an employer. But that young person could go up to Australia, get up skills, get additional skills and learn more and come back and then find that because the employer was so good to them, they ask them for a job again when they come back.
I think this person too has a deep-root view of young people because they say, I might as well pay the extra and hire an 18-year-old who I know will have a better work ethic. I mean, I don't think you can make a sweeping statement like that. I've seen 14, 15, 16-year-olds run off their feet and 25-year-olds with their elbow against the wall. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not having to go at 25-year-olds either. I just don't feel that you can make that sweeping statement.
Yeah. I mean, what evidence is there to suggest that an 18-year-old will be better than a 16-year-old? Okay, even though they get a different pay, minimum wage, 8.89 versus 10.16. But on the whole of it, it's down to the individual person, isn't it? It's down to that young person and the commitment and the motivation that they have. And I would assume that if a person's leaving school at 15, 16 and they're going into the workplace, they're really motivated to work because school may not be for them. Academically, they might have struggled, or they just have talents, gifts and skills in work-related skills. They have work-related skills that are good.
Okay, Pamela, listen, thanks for your time. Are you still there, Bernie?
I am indeed, yes.
Is there, though, a possibility that maybe, and we as parents and caregivers and guardians have to take some responsibility here, that our younger people are a little bit more entitled now and they're like, well, I'm not doing that for that. When you were 14 or when I was 14 or 15, if I'd say how high, and if they says I'm giving you €60 a week or £60 a week, I says, all right, that'll do. I'll have to give 40 of that to my mother. I don't want to old man it, but it's a very different generation now. Perhaps maybe he's seeing more of that or she's seeing more of that.
I don't actually think that person has children at all. When we started work, we all worked in a factory, and I stayed in that place for 11 years. If they hadn't trained me, I wouldn't have my own business. I still wouldn't be doing what I was trained at. But we worked, yes. And you did overtime and all the rest. You did long days. You handed money in home. But I can't see that, how would you put it? Younger people they haven't got the same attitude as us, no, but that's our fault. We kind of mollycoddle them, 100%. But if they want, most of them are saving for cars.
Yeah.
Or most of them are saving to go on holidays with their friends. And they have to get themselves a wee job to do that.
Yeah.
But they know they have to work. But you do see older ones in these jobs that doesn't want to work. They don't even want to be there. There is a place in Letterkenny that every time I go into that shop, it's all young people that's in that shop, and they're the most nicest young ones.
Yeah, that's my
experience. Even if they pass you a few times, each and every one of them said hello or good morning or whatever.
Okay.
There's not very many older ones that does that.
Bernie, thanks for your comments. Really appreciate you coming on. I do appreciate that. Fiacre O'Flaherty's from O'Flaherty's Bar and joins us now. Fiacre, good morning to you.
How you doing, boss?
I am doing good. Have you noticed over the years, before we get to your wider point, a change in younger people's attitude? Because you would have seen 14-year-olds from a few years ago, well, not 14, say 16, 17-year-olds from a few years ago versus now. Is there something in it that they're maybe not quite as switched on or motivated in the workspace as previous generations?
Well, no, all my experience is good, hey. No joke. All the experience I have from the 16-year-olds, 15, 16 and 17-year-olds have all been great, But it came with a bit of work.
And you think that the importance of part-time work should be emphasised to younger ones, even in school, and it would be a lift for the hospitality trade. Tell me briefly about that.
I personally think that hoteliers, restaurateurs and publicans should actually be going to schools and teaching the importance of having a part-time job, either in the summertime, wintertime, holidays, because school's not all about homework, to be honest with you. You need to learn a big part of growing up too, and a big part of growing up is having a job. And in the hospitality industry, at 15, it's kind of hard to get on a building site. So in Ireland, hospitality is the number one go-to for work experience.
I think it's also very good for character development, a lot of interaction with other people, your work colleagues, the public. I think people grow an awful lot through that too. You will have seen people come in the door shy and retiring, and a few months later, Fiachra, they're full of confidence and the chest is out and the shoulders are back.
Yeah, that's like I've had kids coming in here for with their mothers, handing me in their CV for work experience, and they didn't open their mouth. And a year later, I could hand them kids the keys, and I could go away on holidays for 2 days, and them kids could run the place. And them only 16.
Brilliant stuff. Fiachra, thank you so much for your time. Fiachra O'Flaherty there is one of the owners of O'Flaherty's Bar.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
If you've been bereaved by suicide or know someone who has, HUG is the National Suicide Bereavement Charity. Join us on Saturday the 20th of January for a free information event in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana. Expect coffee, cakes and compassionate conversations on understanding suicide grief and local supports available to adults. Doors open at 12 with the speaker at 12:30. Visit hugg.ie for more details. HUG. Hope and healing after suicide.
Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles. Wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $8.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $11.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half price January sale is now on.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Own your car from the start. At B&S Credit Union, you can do just that with a flexible and affordable car loan. Our friendly and experienced team will make the loan process easy and will be delighted to help you. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1-800-290-390. Loans are subject to approval, terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local or Regional News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show, with Greg Hughes.
All right, it is 11:11. More calls coming in on that email from a business owner. Actually, it was a conversation on the telephone, sorry, not an email. That's coming up after we get a news update now, and it's back over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The rector in charge of the group of parishes, which includes St Junan's Cathedral in Raphoe, has spoken of her shock and distress at the vandalism of headstones in the graveyard grounds. Yesterday, Gardaí issued an appeal for information after damage was caused to 8 headstones, some of which were broken, while others were pulled out of the ground between December the 19th and January the 3rd. On the afternoon of January the 3rd, another headstone was pushed over. Minister Eamon Ryan is due to visit Donegal this week. The minister is expected to travel to County House Lifford on Friday afternoon. The Caherlock of the Glenties Municipal District says he will seize the opportunity to make the minister aware of the issues facing people in Donegal, particularly in rural areas. A County Tyrone former postmaster says she has mixed emotions after the Post Office Horizon scandal was played out in a TV drama. Fiona Elliott took over a post office in Clady in 2005, and shortly after she fell victim to an IT system failure, which resulted in hundreds of people being wrongfully prosecuted over fraud and theft. An announcement on the overturning of all sub-postmaster convictions is expected today. Early Childhood Ireland says 8,200 children in Donegal are being failed. The organisation says the ongoing issues facing early years and school-age care settings in Donegal can only be addressed with a coherent 5-year plan. The speed limit on the 4-lane in Letterkenny has increased to 60 km per hour. The speed limit has been revised following the switching on of 3 pedestrian cycle crossing facilities on the route, which is the main artery into Letterkenny. A County Derry man has been sentenced to 6 years in prison after homemade shotgun and ammunition was found at a house in Limavady. Police carried out a search at a property in Anderson Park, Limavady in November 2021, during which a functioning homemade shotgun and cartridges were found in a garden shed. A number of other items, including UDA badges, flags and plaques, were also seized. Antigua has posted reports following inspections of 2 centres for people with disabilities in Donegal. One non-compliance was found in the area of premises at the James Connolly Memorial Residential Unit in Carndonagh, while no non-compliances were noted at Finside in Stranorlar. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you, Michaela.
An éon rud atá rágad na de bhéadthg rudaí beaga chur asca de bhearláinte.
Is é?
Deacrachtaí codalta.
Se.
nó má bhíon faoi bhrú a gcónaí.
Se.
nó imníoch go minic.
Tá buinte acu ilig le a bhearláinte.
Cén dóí a bhfuil is a go é seo ilig?
Brat níam im a dhé féin faoi mar is óldit.
Imní, brúseasta, ís le brí, gan a bheithan an colla, buinn siad seo ilig le a bhearláinte. Déan an ceangal agus bhaicúnamh ag yourmentalhealth.ie. ó aimimeach na sérfíse sláinte.
So yesterday, a frustrated business owner rang us to say, I am a business owner and I employ people of all ages. I think young people should do the first few months for free before I invest in them. I wonder if other employers agree with this. I personally will no longer be employing young people at this age. Many need a mentor for about a year. From January, I have to pay 15 and 16-year-olds $8.90 an hour. Many of them are not worth a $5 an hour. It takes months to train them, and at times training can be unsuccessful. I might as well pay the extra and hire the 18-year-old who I know will have a better work ethic. This is an attitude many business owners I know are now developing, and it will have a huge impact on young people. What are your opinions on this? Well, Jane has also joined us for comment on this. Jane, as a business owner for over 7 years now, and congratulations, that's a great achievement in and of itself. What's your view on this business owner's comments? And good morning to you, Jane.
Oh, good morning, Greg. I've always had under 18s. Actually, my whole staff at the moment are, one's just turned 19 and she's been with me for 5 years. They are amazing, and you get what you put into them. And if you treat people well, they'll treat you well back.
Yeah, and maybe this comes down to this person looking at 14, 15 and 16-year-olds and thinking they're not worthy of their respect. I don't agree with that at all, but there has to be some sort of a mindset at the back of this that they can't see the potential that you see, Jane.
I just don't understand it. Maybe he just doesn't want to pay full stop, and he thinks that he should be getting these 14 and 15-year-olds to do a day's work for nothing. Maybe it's the amount of money that he has to pay them that's annoying him. I've always paid whatever the legal going rate was, and I can speak nothing but praise for under 18s, and I wouldn't be where I am without them. And that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, and you make that clear. They're the ones who keep your business going, and if you don't respect them, they won't respect you. That's your view, and that's been the secret, not the secret, that has been one of the reasons for your success.
Well, they're the people that are front of house. They're the people that are looking after your customers, and if your customers aren't looked after, they're not going to come back to be treated badly. And it doesn't matter whether they're 50 or 15, if your staff don't feel appreciated, they're not going to do a day's work and be happy to do a day's work. So I think it's probably just boils down to his attitude to how much he wants to pay or how he feels about staff in general.
Yeah, all right, Jane, listen, thank you so much for taking the call there. Alan's with us as well. Hi, Alan.
Hi, how are you doing, John?
I'm doing good, Alan. Right, okay. So, I mean, you're very successful. Can you route that back to your early start at work?
Well, just I suppose in 1990, I got my first job. You got £1 an hour. If you worked, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. That's the way it was. I think the young people today are slightly spoiled, but in saying that, they have to start at the bottom. I think our government needs to do something to help with things like this, because I have 16 working for me at the moment, and when you train people up, they might have no incentive and they leave the country and they head off. So you can see the frustration coming from the employee side, where they spend a lot of money training the person, getting them ready for the work, and then they turn and say, oh, hey, what I tell you, myself and 4 of my friends are going to Australia at the end of the month. So there's no determination to keep them here in Ireland and the others. So it has to be looked at from both sides. Regards the wage thing, a set wage for each age, and when they move up a wee bit, it's like moving up the ladder. They move up a wee bit to get a wee bit better, raise their wages a wee bit, and vice versa. I mean, it's not their actual age. You can employ somebody that's 28 and you can employ somebody that's 18, and the guy with 18 might have more knowledge of the job than the guy that's 28, but you can't blame the guy that's 28 because he doesn't know anything about it, you know.
Yeah, there's different smarts, isn't there, Alan? There's book smart, life smart, and all that type of stuff, and it can vary across all different age groups. Have you noticed any change, though, as a business owner? Have you noticed any change in the attitudes of people in their mid-teens, though? Like, do you feel that they're getting harder to motivate or train, or...?
Yeah, I suppose today, like, a few of the problems is, like, I suppose it's the technology and things. Like, a lot of things is more computerized. Years ago, you come in and you went to work. Today, it's frustrating when you see them standing on phones and things, and they're meant to be working for you. There's a lot of things going on there, like, you know, but it's just the system that we're in now. It's the times, the way things are changing, you know. But I suppose, as regards the young people, they need a chance. Like, they have to start somewhere. They need that chance, and there should be a set figure, like what the government is doing, is putting a set figure in place to help them out. But the government, there should also be some kind of like a grant. If you look at some young person saying to you there, I'm not saying that lady was on there that's wrong, but she said that she wouldn't get up out of bed for a £5 an hour. I mean, that's a wrong attitude to tell a young person, because at that rate of going, they're going to turn back and say, no, you know what? Let's just go on the dole. And no disrespect, but there are a lot of people out there that's getting benefits that don't actually want them, would love to have a job just for peace of mind and for their own mentality to get out there and work. So for that reason, like, I think everybody has to look into it. It's not just the employer or the employee. The government needs to come on board and help with things. Like, years ago when I was younger, there used to be the FAST schemes and ANCO schemes and things like that. All that's done away with now. There's very little schemes where that was a great incentive to let a young person go out and try a job. I mean, I suppose I've something I'm going to say here and I probably shouldn't say it, but it's true. I worked with wood when I was at school, but yet now I work with metal today. You know, so you don't actually know when you're 16 or 17 what you actually want to do in life. Yeah. It's later on, your things changes. I picked French in school and I never was in France in my life. You know what I mean? And I was in all other countries, but yet now you learn to speak French because you picked it at school. So for that reason, the young people need a chance. And I think a few schemes or something that the government could come up to give both the employer and the employee a chance to make things work, and let them try it for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and they can say, you know what, this isn't for me. Well, at least then that employer's not out full pocket either, like, you know.
Yep. Okay. Listen, thanks very much indeed. I appreciate your comments, Alan. Take care of yourself. Alan there in line 2. Let us go to our next caller here, and it's Janet, who's with us on line 3. Hi, Janet. What's your views? Good morning to you.
I just think young people need to be given a chance, and I think the training needs to be better from a lot of employment. I've gone onto places here where, you know, I was shown how to do something once and it expected to just to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Proper training isn't given. Where I have trained young people, I've worked in a bar and I've trained young people, but I've taken them from how to actually speak to a customer, how to acknowledge them whenever they come into the bar, how to serve them, to thanking them for the change, showing them how to count the change. So you take them step by step through the whole thing. You just don't expect them to know how to speak to someone, you know, how to greet someone, how to serve them. You know, you don't you need to train them the whole way. I think young people need to be trained in a way where they shadow someone for maybe a full week.
Was that your
2 weeks,
experience in America, Janet? I think you said in your comment. What was your experience over in Boston?
Yeah, I waitressed here before I went to America, but when I went to Boston, I shadowed a waitress for a full week before I was allowed to serve a table myself, even though I knew how to do it and I had done it before. I had the previous experience, but that was just the way it was out there.
Week.
You were
That's
paid
a lot.
for the
And that's you wouldn't get that here, I don't think, where you're trained for a week without actually serving a table. And you were paid for that training, by the way, in case anyone texts in to ask.
I was paid. Yeah, I was paid the same wages for the training, and ultimately done nothing. Only followed someone round for a week. I was allowed to lift plates and everything.
Yeah, of course.
Toward after a few days, but. Yeah, I just think, proper training needs to be given. The young people need to be given a chance. We all started somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you were a parent of teenagers or someone coming through, your attitude might be different because you realise that, you want to see them get a start as well, and you'd do anything for them, and you'd hope that you would do anything if you were a business owner for other teens as well. All right, Janet, great insight. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Ewan, good morning to you. Hello, Ewan, are you there? No, I've lost Ewan, so that's all lines free at the moment, 1, 2 and 3. Many of you commenting too, both online and offline. Shocking attitude. I got my first job at the age of 14 and stayed in continuous employment of evening and weekend work through my junior and leaving cert. I believe it's why I have a good work ethic, as I was given the opportunity from a young age. I was always very lucky that my colleagues, managers provided me with the correct training skills to be able to complete my work. Young people get such a hard time. Maybe as a business owner, you should be ensuring you're providing the correct supports for them. Surely you had to get a start somewhere. I agree with the business owner to a certain degree. I have an 18-year-old and I've told him in order to get experience, you should go to a business and tell them you'll work for free for a while to get the experience. I believe young ones just think they can walk into a job and get the going rate and them not able to do what people who are there for years are doing but expect to get the same as them. Yeah, and I mean, do apprenticeships still happening? Say if you're learning a trade, a carpentry, kitchen fitting, I'm not saying these are trades, hairdressing, welding, whereby I think it still goes on, does it? Whereby you're paid an apprenticeship wage or you're paid a wage as you're training. So the business is saying, look, we're training you here. That is accepted. That's the norm. Is that okay? Is that something completely different here? Because I'm sure there are people out there that are doing full days work in some of the industries I've mentioned, but are on an apprentice's wage. I'm not quite sure if that's still the case. Ewan, how are you getting on now? No, Ewan is not there. There's a problem once it's gone through. Hello, Ewan. No, the line's connected, but just it's not working. So we'll move on from that, I think, Caroline. If companies could give young people the full wage, but take half of it during the week and put it into a bank account and they can access it when they're 18, it would motivate young people to work harder, maybe even to hang around longer as well. I had a daughter treated like dirt in a hairdresser's. She was promised to be trained and they never trained her. She went to another hairdresser's who agreed to train her and spent thousands on her. She now loves hairdressing again and is fully qualified. She was treated with respect and how she should be treated, and now she's doing well. Okay, appreciate that comment. I have a teenager who can't wait to work. All she wants to do is make her own money. Does that person forget they had to start at the start and they were once a teenager? But there's no way in hell I'd let someone who thinks they're better than the rest mistreat my child. Wow, there's enough employers in this town already taking advantage of young employees. No training, expected to know what to do and getting paid nothing or much less than minimum wage, which is illegal, but they know the young ones won't say anything or let their parents step in as they don't want to cause trouble. It's just terrible. I've been that young person wanting to work. I've been the mother with kids going into the workforce, and also I've been the employer, and thankfully I learned how to treat staff but also how not to treat them. This post actually makes me angry but also very sad for the genuine hardworking young people in the town. If employers aren't willing to put the time and energy into training them and treating them right, how will they ever learn? Yep. That's it. And I think what's happened is a lot of people have come to defence of our young people. Great listening here on the employer's comment. Pure and simple. As a qualified person in this field, this is illegal. Full stop. He cannot choose. He has no option but to follow the law. That comes in from Robert. As a former teenager, a mother and an employer, I can say all teenagers are not created equal. The man said it's time that needs to train them up. That's the issue. And maybe his business is not able to sustain training up someone who's not just suitable for work. It may not be back with them next year. Kids develop at different ages, and maybe this is just not their summer. Indeed, but his experience seems to be such that it's carte blanche, that he's saying all young ones require too much effort. All young ones should only be on £5 an hour. All young ones should work for free until such time as they're not a burden on the business or whatever it might be. So it's not like what you're saying where you know some might require a little bit extra attention than others. He's saying 18-year-olds effectively, or they're saying 18-year-olds effectively come in with a good work ethic, but he doesn't have the time, energy, or clearly the money to try and bring on 15 and 16-year-olds at $8.90 an hour. He says they're not worth €5 an hour. But what kind of service is he providing that they're worth €5 but they're not worth $8.90? I don't know. It's a peculiar one. All right, keep them coming into us. Really do appreciate it. Lots of you having your say, and I can understand why, because I feel really motivated to splurge my opinion as well. But anyway.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can now test drive the new Toyota CHR, combining standout styling, an engaging drive and class-leading efficiency.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Ma aon tú bula gáis sáile nó ar an troid, ná tuair neamh ordair. Oscail foinneoga agus dorse, ná catabach, ná bhópáil, ná húsóid lásar gan chosint. Ná díflogóil lás ná múch éon rud lectrach, múch an gás ag an méidir. An sin is cum a cén solóirí gáisitá agad, cuirgléigh líonraí gáis éireann ag 1855. Take chuig gasnetworks.caí chun seat scáilein de na céimena a hábháil ar de gléas, agus a roint le de corda agus de winter.
At Lidl, we've dropped the prices of over 600 products. This January, we've given over 600 of our products a fresh price drop for the year ahead. So now you put more money back in your pocket with savings through breakfast, lunch, dinner and beyond. That's 600 more reasons to go full Lidl today.
Winter sale now on at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms. 10% off all purchases for a limited period. T's and C's apply. See in store. Book a free consultation today in our Donegal Town showroom on 074 97 25 822. Luxury kitchens and bedrooms at affordable prices. Expect more and get more at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time now, 11:20. Welcome back to the programme. Does that employer really have to ask why young people are leaving his employment? Good question. I know a company that doesn't employ young people. They get young people through a school scheme. The job is emptying containers, and anyone could do it. They label it as training, but it's not training. It's free labour, that caller says. Let me see. Okay, read that. Yeah, I've read that one too. Absolutely disgraceful that someone would actually admit this is their views, but have gone cowardly and done it anonymously on Highland Radio. Well, listen, the one thing we really have to be... I know this kind of feeling, there's a bit of a social media feel to this, but still, we're still in the era where, you know, people can contact a radio station like ours, express their opinion, and then it triggers a conversation and we can have a conversation. The fact that they do it anonymous, is it best that we hear it anonymously or we don't hear it at all? Because if we're not hearing it at all, we're not having the conversation, we're not getting an understanding that that's how some people think out there, and then we wouldn't have this opportunity to obviously, for the most part, praise the young people like we are. So I get where you're coming from, but I mean, listen, the person couldn't in this day and age make that views known publicly. But anyway, the caller goes on to say, if this is their views, they should put a big sign on their door so we all know who it is and have the guts to let everyone know it straight. Plenty of young people don't have experience, but how can they possibly learn anything if nobody gives them a chance? And further to that, how can they learn if they don't get proper training, which I'm sure doesn't happen everywhere. Plenty of young people are hired and left to their own devices to figure it out. That's not right. How can an employer expect them to know what they're at without training and encouragement? When will some business owners realise that you reap what you sow? How can you incentivise a young person to work for the benefit of your business if you treat them like garbage and pay them nothing? Why should they invest in your business with their time for nothing? You're a disgrace to local businesses who are run by people with a bit of integrity and humanity, says that listener.
Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. For a career in financial governance, consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services, starting in January. Contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie today.
Okay, we welcome into studio now presenter of Highland Radio's Business Matters podcast. That person, of course, is Chris Ashmore. Hi, Chris.
Good morning,
Good
Greg.
to have you in. Before we hear what's happening on the show today, let's run through some points of interest. And there's a new online planning application process. What's this about?
Yeah, well, it's all part of the government strategy to move more public services online. So traditionally, if you were going for planning permission as an individual or as a business, you lodge your planning application through the council office and post things in and whatever. So it's all going online, and this new system means you'll be able to pay it online. There's reduced printing costs in terms of paper and gathering everything together. And you know, it's just the times that we live in. And also, I suppose, just while we mentioned that, people are always interested in property and planning, and the Donegal County Council website, you can go on it and there is a planning section and you can look up. Anybody has access to it and see what's the latest planning permissions received, what's been decided, and also what's
It's a bit of a rabbit hole, because next thing you end up on the Ombud Planala weekly cases.
You could be there a long time.
Website, okay, and on it goes.
And
But
actually,
it is
it is there. And also, just of interest, Greg, to listeners, I've heard people seeing a property and the for sale sign goes up, and you know, months later you're wondering, I wonder how much that went for. Well, there is a national property register online, and you can look up, you can put in your townland or your town, and you will see every property transaction that has happened for, be it a commercial or residential property there. And it's quite interesting just to see what prices are being achieved wherever you are.
I'm surprised there isn't a company yet that hasn't sort of started using that information to find out, because you do see the adverts on British television for it. You know, they're quite actually clever. But anyway, okay. Donegal Enterprise webinar. This one on making businesses more efficient?
Yes, there's been a series of these. The next one being held by the local enterprise office is called An Intro to Lean. Now, when they say lean, it basically means how to make your business more efficient. And Ciara Shine of Shine Seafood in Killybegs, she'll be sharing her experience of how she has made things more efficient, and that takes place next Monday. And if you go on to the localenterprise.ie website, you'll find details on that. And on a not unrelated matter, just to let people know that there is another virtual Start Your Own Business program. This is a very popular program which is run by the local enterprise office. The next one is on Tuesday, the 6th of February, and it's delivered over 8 sessions, 2 evenings a week. And look, if you want to find out more about how to start off your own business, that is a very good first step.
Sorry, I'm just going through the property website here. I decided to go to Downings just to see what the crack is, to see what houses are going for there. It's quite interesting. Rosapenna, 450,000. Glenourie, 775,000. Larganree, 150,000. These are all property sales.
And these are all quite recent, these ones you're looking at?
These are in 2022. Derry Casson, 100k. but there's a couple of asterisks there. I'm not going to dig any deep. Dundone, 545,000. Some big money properties. Some big money properties there. There's a few obviously down in the lower figures, but those are the ones that jump out.
So that you're the holiday home plans, yeah?
No. Just as I said, I thought I'd pick somewhere. I didn't want to pick Lahey because it could be neighbours that are selling their houses. So, but anyway, come here. That's another story. Interesting website, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't listening to anything about what you were saying because I was checking house prices. But I presume we're going on to start your own business program coming up at the Leo.
Yeah, we've just mentioned that. That's done and dusted. So
you've done that?
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah.
Literally,
you were totally distracted.
But at least I'm honest. Right. So we did talk about that.
We did.
What's coming up on the show? I'm in Letterkenny now. See what prices to go for. I'm looking for million euro homes, but there's none there. I mean, they're all big money. Like a lot of them are big money, but no, I was looking for like a 2 or 3 millionaire, but nothing there yet. But these are all residential. Coming up on this week's Business Matters podcast.
Yes, my guest is Eugene Gallant from Lifford. Now
he actually gives. Sorry, Chris.
Yes,
it literally gives the actual house address.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very transparent. Years ago,
so such and such Wolftown Place, Letterkenny, Donegal, the air code and the price.
Yeah.
That's sold for. What a fascinating little.
Guess what you're doing at lunchtime today?
Well, I've I think I have. It's propertypriceregister.ie. It's an official website. This is not anything hokery pokery.
Nope.
Okay. Right. Sorry, Chris. Now let's focus on the podcast, please. Sorry, it's my fault.
Yes, my guest this week is Eugene Gallant from Lifford. Now, he established a company called Bon Appetit back in 2021, so not too long ago. He's a background in the hospitality industry as a chef and been involved in restaurants, and he saw a gap in the market for ready-made meals and not just for your microwave, but also for air fryers. And he's built up a very good business in a relatively short space of time and has expanded rapidly, so much so that this week, as we are speaking, he's in the process of continuing to move into new premises out of the Thorn in Letterkenny. It's the old Boston Scientific building, so this is going to allow him to expand considerably, and I joined him and he brought me around the new premises.
This site, it's just around 5,000 square foot, so with proper office facilities. This previously was Boston Scientific site, so it was perfect for us because it had a lot of air purification systems and air conditioning systems built in, which is perfect for the type of business we are for food production. The site, it's an fully enclosed site, which we will hopefully this year have a BRC accreditation, which you need to be able to supply the major retailers. So, and also we'll have our full EC number accreditation, which means that we can supply within the European Union as well too. So, this our previous site we couldn't have did this. So this is a big part of the move, and obviously the size of the site means that we'll be able to up our production as we grow.
So how many people are here at the moment?
We have 14 staff. That's a mixture of full time and part time. Right. So we have this site will allow us to grow, anything up to about 25,000 meals a week from the site when it's fully operational.
Fascinating stuff, Chris. Definitely well worth a listen to that full interview. That's only a snippet there, but it's just really interesting to get an insight into what's going on. Often people don't realise.
And as he mentioned there, they're going to be producing, when they get up to full production now in this new premises, going from 6,000 meals a week to 25,000 meals a week. That's a lot of meals, and supplying to outlets, not just locally, but into the north. And there's some deals with some of the bigger chains as well, and will soon be exporting out of the country because they'll have a license to do that. So all very positive.
Okay, if you want to hear that interview in full and past episodes, of course, you can go on to our website, the on-demand section. That podcast is live for you right now to stream, or indeed you can download highlandradio.com. And if you want to listen to it live, it's on after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday as well. Chris, if anyone wants to contact the show, how do they go about it?
Yeah, they can contact me on businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Chris, listen, thank you so much for that. We really do appreciate your time there. Okay, back with more in the 9 till noon show after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 9 till Noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience. Trust us to help you on your electric journey.
An raibh is a good go nairói an pension stáid fra níochach níos so lúpa ó anar fihe ceir.
Ach, cad a chéilíonn sé sin domsa?
Agus mise, cílíonn sé go méid tú fósan an éile bhíana bhar do finsin agus tú 60 bliain díis. No is féidir leat fannacht agus éile bhíana bhar, ámar be agus tú idir 67 agus 70 bliain díis. Déad fá ráta níos irde den finch na áil dó bhar. Can áil amach céacha an rá is fardait, take chuid gov.ie/pension salúpa. Is tionscnóh do chud rialtas na héireann é seo ar na soláthar ag an Ryan Cumracha socially.
Well, Grace, how are you today? I'm good. I've just been down to the Made to Measure Fireplaces showroom in Creasla. They have an incredible selection of over 40 colours for kitchen worktops. And guess what? For a limited time, they're offering a 40% discount on any electric fire when you purchase a worktop there.
40%? That's an amazing deal, Grace.
Absolutely. And trust me, if the discount alone doesn't sway you, their huge selection of fireplaces, stoves, wood pellet burners, beams and stone cladding certainly will.
Contact Made to Measure Fireplaces Creasla on 074 91 38 365 on Facebook, Instagram and on mtmfireplaces.ie.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till Noon show. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Ivan Yates, former government minister and No Holds Barred podcast host. Good morning to you, Ivan. How are you getting on?
Very good, Greg. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too. Speaking to you from Donegal, one of your favourite places in the country. I seem to recall you using your News Talk platform to tell everybody.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. I haven't been in Donegal for a while, but I hear it may be leading the way in terms of what the politics might hold, because with the new path to power with Matt Cooper, one of the things that I've been saying is that the reason we're doing it is because there's 4 elections, Úd Ross, local, and Europeans in the first weekend of June. But I believe definitely that the general election will be on or shortly after that date, certainly by November of next year. One of the things I quote is I've seen polls in Donegal for the next general election, and it shows Sinn Féin winning 3 seats, a Micah candidate winning a 4th seat, and Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, McConnell O'Getall scrapping it out for the last seat. So I have been saying that my predictions are, and amongst a lot of things, is that Sinn Féin could get between 58 and 72 seats. So Donegal might be leading the way.
Did you, when deciding to launch this podcast with Matt, did you see a gap there? Listen, I understand it's a competitive market now, and what we see an awful lot of is sort of radio stations getting together a few staff to do useful stuff, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean, but they're double jobbing. There's a responsibility to put out some digital content there, and it is what it is. Did you see a gap there for a sort of, take no prisoners type of podcast?
Well, first of all, when I do my media training, I tell people what sells is not the same, whether you're selling widgets or services, is something different. First of all, I believe podcasts, I'd be old world, old school. Podcasts are the future because the same as the Player with the BBC, in BBC Sounds in Bristol, people want to access news, entertainment, information, analysis, whatever it is, when it suits them. They can't sit down and turn on a radio or television when it suits you. So that's the big change, and podcasts, therefore, make it much more user-friendly.
Can I just make a comment on BBC Two, which they're doing very cleverly with the BBC Sounds podcast, in their blurring the lines between live and podcast or listen on demand. The lines are being blurred. I think it's a really clever strategy. It's not saying either or, but between being able to be rewind and programs being instantly available, I think that is the approach. That sort of, you don't, is it live? Is it not live? Does it truly matter?
Yeah, well, people tell me in BBC that by 2030 there will be no such thing as terrestrial TV. It'll all be on the player. So that's the direction of travel. But the point of difference here with Path to Power is your job is to put feet to the fire, get transparency, give the news, give accountability. We're not competing with that. We are giving, in my case, 40 years of experience being a politician, analysing politics, to give my opinion, analysis, insights, to argue politics rather than just to talk about politics with Matt. And therefore, I think it's completely different. I'm prepared to make predictions. I'm prepared to be wrong. I want to challenge people. I'm not trying to curry favour. I don't want Pierce Doherty to appear on my show next week.
Well, you see, this is the thing. This is the thing, Ivan. Neither do I, or I don't mind. But I think, right, I do recognise that there's a gap in the market that you're filling. I think that's actually a poor indictment of our media that is there, because we're dealing now on access. So we'll get a minister a morning, but we'll ask certain questions.
Well, in fairness, the podcasts are not BAI regulated. You have to be fair. I don't.
No, I know, but I also believe in terms of arguing politics, discussing, asking hard questions, there is an absence of that. We try and do that here. But I take your point. There's a lot of controversy. Have you won Charlie McConalogue as an EU commissioner? Because he ruled himself out about it, right? Then, he refused to rule himself out of it before Christmas. Then there was further speculation. We were talking about it on this show, and we got a press release saying that we were peddling idle speculation, and that he was committed to standing for the people of Donegal. Then there was a Daily Mail article, I believe it was, in which he once again refused to rule himself out of it. Let's see how things go. What is the story? Do you have any insight? Any inline path?
Well, first of all, I have been fueling that speculation because my sources tell me, one, irrespective of what Leo is saying, this is without doubt a Fianna Fáil nominee. Okay? So the first option is, would Micheál go for it himself? And I actually thought it'd be a clever career move for him. He gets another 5 years. He'll be 64 years of age on the 1st of August. He's led the party from a near-death experience in 2011. He's been Taoiseach. Surely it makes sense. But I'm told Micheál wants to be the next president in 25, and he didn't want to go to Brussels, and his wife Mary didn't want to go. Fair enough. Let's see how that plays out. The next thing then is, okay, if not Micheál, would McGrath like it? No, he wants to hang around for the potential leadership. So what I heard from my Fianna Fáil sources, unofficially, and can change, that if it's to be a cabinet member, it will be Charlie McConalogue. He's definitely interested in it. He's had a lot of experience there as Ag Minister. And so therefore, I think it could happen. But out of a clear blue sky, someone said that Brussels wants a woman, okay? And obviously, you have by-elections and consequences of picking a female TD, and hence Maura Geoghegan-Quinn's name came into it. So, it's not decided. So it is speculation, okay? But it will be Fianna Fáil, and it will be decided on or around the time of the European elections.
You talked about your 4 decades in politics and covering politics as a journalist. Is it different now? Are we seeing a different type of politics? Are your conversations, I haven't had the opportunity to listen yet, but there is a political change here in this country. And I'm not just talking about, more right-leaning voices out there. That is a factor as well. But also in, I think, how sitting politicians behave and handle themselves as well. Is that being reflected in your podcast? Does it have to be?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my fundamental argument why there is seismic change. And I'm agnostic about what I want in all this. I'm just calling it as if it was a horse race at Fairyhouse. Voters under 40 are going to vote differently to their parents. And this is particularly true in urban Ireland, insofar as home ownership in the 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, ESRI have studied from 33 to 45 age cohort was 90%. It's now down to 60% and dropping. People see themselves in perpetuity paying market rents, not owning their own home, and they don't have a defined benefit pension that their parents had. And they're going to vote differently to their parents' party. Because we've had no national election since 2020, 4 years is a long time. We saw on abortion, on divorce, on marriage equality, radical change. And I'm seeing the same happening in terms of the emergence of a new generation of voters. So that's the first change. The second change, which has taken me by surprise, is the gulf between media speak in Dublin, political speak in highest office in Dublin, and what people are saying in pubs on the ground about migration. And as with the voters in Italy and Holland, if you just demonize people who disagree with you, call them names, far right, call them, racist and all the rest of it, don't be surprised when you open the ballot boxes that you're going to get a bit of a shock. And I'm saying that's the second surprise I'm seeing emerging, and it's growing.
And listen, we're seeing some political parties, if not most of them, seeing that now and trying to adjust positions and just language. And I hope the public see it. It's very important, I think, that the public inform themselves and critique themselves and not rely on someone who they believe are sort of an equal point of view to make those decisions for them. When will we really start the conversation about the general election, like get into the nitty-gritties of it? Like, there's an awful lot of commitments, say, for instance, from the opposition, that it's very hard to see how they all can be fulfilled, for an example. We have yet to see really how much Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael might turn on each other as an election looms, or maybe it's the Greens that will get the kicking. Who's to say? When do you think all of that will start in a real meaningful way, Ivan?
Okay, well, I believe that in government circles, you first of all, in the cycle of politics, you move from being totally consumed with government and the running of government to running a political party and campaigning. And I think from February on, that's going to click in. But my understanding is, I was amused at Leo saying he wasn't planning a general election in 2024. My understanding, inside strategists in Fine Gael are saying, look, local elections in 2019 resulted in Sinn Féin doing very badly. They lost 81 seats. They ended up with 78 seats on 9% of the vote. They faced the prospect of trebling their councillors, having poll-topping councillors all over Ireland, who would make perfect candidates for an autumn election. And Leo wants to get ahead of that narrative of clinging on to power, lame duck administration, go in the name of God. So he'd like to hold the elections in June and gazump Sinn Féin so they'd have the same problem that they had in 2020, which was they got the most votes, 24.5%, but they left 12 seats behind them because their number twos elected other candidates who actually didn't run enough candidates. So I actually think that the mind is gradually changing, and just the way ministers operate, focused on the civil servant's diary and all that kind of thing. Nothing focuses the mind like a hanging and self-preservation, Greg.
Yeah, indeed. And listen, I would echo that in speaking to someone, really quite senior in Fine Gael, who I'd respect that they are being told to be battle ready as well for this year. So the information does have to be disseminated to some extent. It is a perfect year to launch this type of. There's going to be more votes cast around the world than many years before that. Are you focusing on? I think there's enough there to just talk Irish politics. Do you really want to go down the rabbit hole of American politics?
Well, certainly, there will be a look at UK politics. Whether it's a May, June or November election, I think there is a common factor between the Tories and Fine Gael. Both are in power for over 12 years. And I have an iron rule of elections, unless it's China or Russia. that once you go over 12 years, whether it's Bertie, whether it's Blair, whether it's Maggie Thatcher, you get up and say, Greg, I'm going to do this about health or housing or education. And say, mate, you've had 12 years to do something about those issues. So I think the sell-by date, I think one of the things you alluded to there, which I think is nobody has picked up on, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are heading in different directions. Fine Gael, under Simon Harris, after the election, are going to head for opposition, to reinvent themselves, rebrand themselves, ideally...
Well, Leo, to some extent, wanted that the last time round, didn't he?
He did. But it just didn't happen in those ways because the arithmetic led to a kind of historic government. Fianna Fáil, conversely, got less votes and less seats in 2020 than they did in 2016. Ergo, the conclusion was confidence and supply didn't gain them anything. Being in opposition didn't gain them anything. They couldn't deliver anything. So I think Fianna Fáil have decided that they're better off in government. And after a lot of hopping and trotting, I see Sinn Féin somewhere around large dole, 147 seats, magic figure 88, somewhere between 58 and 72, depending on what happens. So but clearly short of a majority. If they're in the higher figure, they might form an all left-wing government with other parties and people of the left. But if they're on the lower figure, they need Fianna Fáil. And so therefore, I think, on balance, the next government to have a majority will be Mary Lou and a new leader of Fianna Fáil, probably McGrath or Darragh O'Brien or Jack Chambers.
All right, no, I'll wrap up shortly, but just on that, right, then coming into election, everyone's already saying, well, bar Fine Gael, we can't rule anything in or out. How do Sinn Féin message the voters in saying that this government has destroyed the country for generations and generations, give us a chance, and then we'll be in government with one of the parties that we're saying destroyed the government for generations and generations? How do you message that? Because they will have to facilitate effectively. The probability is they will facilitate Fianna Fáil's continuance in power.
Well, I'll put it like this. There's a hell of a difference if Fianna Fáil have 35 and they have 60 something. As opposed to being a party of opposition, the control they'd have. Conversely, some people would argue that because Mary Lou has never been a minister, because Sinn Féin have never been in government in the South, that it would be no harm to have some experienced people around them. Look, people, the nature of politics is expediency, pragmatism. They will find a way to get over all their principles in all parties if the arithmetic suits them.
Okay, so people can listen to the No Holds Barred podcast anytime they like, except between 9 and 12, Monday to Friday. Where is it available?
Would you believe, to my shock, because I knew nothing about these things, but on Spotify and Apple Spotify, Apple, it went in. We did 2 episodes, went in straight at number 1.
I'm not surprised. I think there's a huge gap. We want to talk about politics, and there's not an awful lot of straight talk out there. I'm personally, I'm not surprised. I didn't think you were that popular, Ivan, to be honest with you, but maybe it's Matt.
Absolutely. I think it's not maybe, it's definitely
no,
Matt.
I'm only messing. Okay, right. So people can search on their platforms for No
It's called
Holds
Path to Power.
Okay, Path to Power. Right, okay. So I keep reading one quote. Path to Power. Okay.
Path to Power. And sorry, the point is that I said, look, I'm not going to do this forever. The idea is it will go for a year and will conclude when the next government is formed. It's time to pay attention to politics, Greg.
Everyone has a needs to do that, I think. Thanks very much, Ivan. Take care of yourself. That's Ivan Yates there, back after these.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Last chance to enter the Donegal silage competition with Homeland and Nutrius animal feeds. Entries are closing soon, so hurry. Entry is free and includes 5 categories: dairy, beef, sheep, round bale and new entrant. First prize €300 vouchers, second prize €200 voucher in each category. For full entry details visit homeland.ie. Closing date January 19.
How we use electricity can be smarter, cleaner and greener. At Electric Ireland, we can help guide you there.
You're looking up
You see, our new Net Zero Hub has all you need to know about smart meter plans, EV tariffs, solar panels, and much more. Making your usage clearer, your trips greener, your home cozier, and your world brighter. Find our Net Zero Hub at electricireland.ie.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council is delighted to announce the Community Climate Action Fund is now open for applications. The fund is open to not-for-profit organisations such as community groups and clubs and comes in 2 strands. Strand 1 is for direct climate action aimed at building low-carbon communities in Donegal. Strand 1A is for shared island climate action projects with partners from Northern Ireland. For more information on both strands and how to apply, visit donegalcoco.ie. Donegal County Council, building sustainable communities.
Revamp your bathroom with the Bath Shack Coleraine January sale. Dive into savings of up to 75% on selected bath, tap, heating and tile essentials. Exclusive. There's an extra 10% off for Highland Radio listeners with the code Highland Radio. Shop online at bathshack.com. T's and C's apply.
Personal improvement deserves recognition. That's progress you can feel, and the very definition of the Audi 241 range. From the striking style and comfort of the enhanced Audi A6 to the era-defining iconic Audi A4 with Competition Edition, and the quietly efficient Audi Q4 e-tron, electrified driving with no compromise. Test drive the Audi 241 range at an Audi dealer near you today.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, so it is going to be dry for the rest of today with low winter sunshine across many areas and no more than moderate winds. Cloud, though, may spill over. If you're listening to us, much further east than Donegal, there's a chance of a few light passing showers, I'm told. Temperatures 3 to 7 degrees. Tonight, remaining dry across most areas, but with increasing cloud feeding in from the Irish Sea. Lowest temperatures -2 to +2 degrees. Generally in light to moderate north-east breezes. A slight frost will set in where skies clear. Tomorrow, another cold day, 4 to 8 degrees. Okay. Yes, you're right, Greg. It's very important that the public inform themselves about what's going on in the country and the world. However, if the government has its way with this hate speech bill, no one will be able to open their mouths. It will be censored or people arrested, especially since hate is not even defined. People are not truly aware of just how serious this proposed bill is and should be contacting their TD to show their objection. Or fully familiar like what is being proposed, it is and what amendments are being suggested. I think it's really important to be able to speak freely. I don't see anything personally. I'm not trying to convince anyone, but I've looked at it. I've looked at, as I say, what's proposed, the amendments and the change. What it seems to be to me is that you can't go on Twitter and call someone a paedophile. Okay, which seems to happen all the time now, or spread false information about people, or whatever it might be. I would love if that stuff didn't have to be moderated or policed. But some of the language you hear referring to people just of different colours, and it's and then it's not just maybe people that arrived here, it's people that are our friends and our neighbours and have lived here for years and work around the place, and they're also having to read awful racial slurs online. Is that what free speech is? But anyway, house in Malin, 1.3 million sold for. Wowzers. I wouldn't mind a 10% cut of that. My son worked in a very busy place before Christmas. They took him in for 2 months and then dropped him. He's 16. They never mentioned anything about a bad work ethic or anything like that. And when he was there, he worked hard doing everything. They didn't remove him from the work WhatsApp group, and the boss would text in looking for people. When my son rang to say that he was available, he was told that they had no hours for him. Yeah, that's horrendous, and it doesn't make him feel good about himself either. Lady saying not to get out of bed for 5 for an hour, that's a wrong attitude to pass on to any child. No one wants to see any child taken advantage of, but don't send them out with a bad entitled attitude either, as it will just make life difficult for them. Another here, the hourly rate is very frustrating as a former business person, and no paying wages can be difficult. I believe work for a weekly wage of maybe 50 or 60 euro a day from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. I know the panic of paying wages while the till is not ringing. Then you're frustrated as to how will I pay them. But that's different, because the other business owner he or she wasn't saying that, things are tight, they're tough to pay. They were just actually basing it on the the perceived work ethic of the younger people. I think if the government paid mothers to stay at home and rear their children properly, then we could put manners on children. We need to tell them right and wrong at 7 or 8, or else there's no change in them. Okay. You get babysitters in who are too scared to discipline the children in case they lose their jobs. Everyone works these days, and they don't have time to raise children. There's a lot of good young people out there, but there's a lot of spoilt brats, and they can't take criticism. And there's more brats than good ones. I have them, Greg. Okay. That's your view. Thank you for that. In relation to the current conversation, age discrimination is illegal, pure and simple. That's if you know about it. And again, that's why it's no harm having the conversation, because we're kind of finding it out that that's what some businesses, few of them I would imagine, think. That's where we have to leave it. We're going to have to carry that conversation into tomorrow with all the other stuff that we've lined up for you already. A brilliant show for you tomorrow, already taking shape. But for me, Greg Hughes, and Caroline O, who researched and produced, and Shannon working away too on the programme on our socials, have a wonderful Wednesday. Stay tuned. John Breslin